correct the punctuation of this script, she said. You work here as a janitor. Ha, must be tough being poor. Those condescending words came from Cindy, my brother's wife. Even after not seeing each other for a while, she said this with a snide laugh. For a while now, I've been aware that she doesn't hold me in high regard. I had hoped we drifted apart enough that I'd never have to encounter her again. How mistaken I was. But this time, I refused to yield. The mere fact of her presence here, well, you'll soon understand. Suppressing the chuckle, I maintain my composure and reply. Her expression freezes in an instant as my words sink in. My name's Lita, 30 years old. At home, it's me, my husband Lucas, and our daughter Leila. Lucas and I, we've been an item since college days. Started dating after we both joined the same club. 4 years into dating, we tied the knot when I hit 26. Next thing we knew, we welcomed Leila into our lives, smooth sailing all through the pregnancy. 3 years on, she's thriving, not a single health hiccup in sight. Sadly, Lucas' folks aren't around anymore to witness her growth. But my parents? They're pouring all their love onto her, making up for the missing grandparents. Our condo sits just a 10-minute drive away from my childhood abode. Originally, Lucas and I were slated to remain there. My parents had hoped we'd stay under the same roof after tying the knot. Life was serene dwelling with my gentle husband and affectionate parents. However, that tranquility was shattered about 6 months into our union. Enter my brother Cedric, along with his wife. I hadn't laid eyes on him in nearly 5 years. Cedric had severed ties with our parents, dropped out of college, and vanished from home. His whereabouts remained a mystery until he sent a text announcing his marriage. Not a word of congratulations, and he was conspicuously absent from family gatherings, including our wedding. So, you can fathom my astonishment and ire when he suddenly reappeared. Yet I resolved to lend him an ear. What he and his wife divulged, however, far surpassed our expectations. Upon his return home after years, he confronted Dad, saying, "Dad, Cindy and I have made the decision to move in here with you." What in the world? You've been MIA for years, and now you just waltz back in? Listen, I understand it's not ideal, but I'm married now, and living with you seems like the least I can do, doesn't it? Don't be absurd. You didn't even bother showing up to Lita's wedding. Well, I apologize for that, but as your son, it's my obligation to be here. So Lita and her husband will have to find another place. Suddenly, a chill fills the room, leaving even Dad speechless. In the midst of this tense atmosphere, I find my voice. Wait just a minute. You can't simply barge in here and declare that Lucas and I are moving out. And why not? Are you just trying to butter up Dad to snag the house for yourselves? What? That's absurd. I simply want to be close to my parents. You're just a daughter. A son, especially the eldest like me, takes precedence even in matters of living arrangements. Just because you're the son, just because you're the oldest. So what? You dropped out of college by your own choice. You left home by your own choice. I can't tolerate this nonsense any longer. Just leave. I seize my brother by the arm and usher him towards the front door. Our argument persists even as we stand by the threshold, but Cindy interjects. Let's just head home for today. Reluctantly, my brother departs. The ordeal leaves my parents and husband utterly exhausted. We're all anxious about what my brother might do next. A few days later, the doorbell chimes. As I swing open the door, a stranger stands on the threshold, accompanied by a mover's truck parked outside. Perplexed, I inquire, "Are you from the moving company? I believe you may have the wrong address." "Nope, this is the correct address. We're here to handle the move for Cedric." "Cedric? My brother? Ah, I see, your family. My apologies, please come in." "Wait, just a moment." The mover signals his crew, and soon several men begin ferrying boxes into our house. I had no inkling about my brother's move, not a single word. With my parents away, I couldn't verify with them. Fearing I might be the last to know, I hurried upstairs to find my husband. "Lucas, have you heard anything about my brother moving in?" "What? What are you saying? That's impossible." "Then come see for yourself. Movers are bringing in his belongings." "What? This is news to me." "Forget it, just come." I tug my husband downstairs. The hallway is already cluttered with boxes and the movers are swiftly adding more. My husband attempts to intervene, but they counter. "We're simply following instructions. Your family, correct?" We attempt to reach my brother, but there's no response. Our calls to my parents go unanswered as well. Their phones are on silent. Eventually, all the boxes are inside, and the movers depart without a further word. Confronted by the stack of boxes, we both grapple to comprehend what's unfolding. What's happening? Why does my brother have all this stuff here? Is he planning to move in without informing Dad or us? We ponder the worst-case scenario, opting to await our parents' return to strategize. However, an hour later, it's my brother and his wife who arrive first. "Hey, Lita, we're moving in. You better clear out." "Brother, did you really move your stuff here without informing anyone?" "Why? This was originally my home. What's the issue with bringing my belongings back?" "What?" Amidst our argument, a mocking laugh echoes from behind. I whirl around to find Cindy sporting a smug grin. Catching my stare, she offers a faux apology, devoid of any sincerity. Then, she proceeds to taunt me with a brazen remark. "So, you must be Lita, huh? Can't seem to heed Cedric's wishes or something. How juvenile can you get?" "Pardon me, what's all this about?" Just for the record, my brother made the decision to leave college and move out on his own. Why dredge this up now? Haven't you heard? Cedric's moved back in to reside with your parents. Quite the dutiful son, isn't he? Listen, we never asked for any of this. This is our home, where my husband and I reside, so please kindly leave. Too late, we've already relinquished our condo. What? Regardless, it's you two who need to vacate, not us. Best of luck. With that, Cindy and my brother proceed to unpack. Later, when my parents return home, they confront my brother, yet he and his wife adamantly refuse to depart. From that moment onward, life takes a turn for the worse. Every day, my husband and I endure insults from my brother and Cindy. They casually use and damage our belongings. When we demand an apology, they brush it off with, "We're family, so what's the big deal?" Even when my pregnancy is confirmed, Cindy remarks, "Lita, you're just a homemaker, aren't you? And Lucas's company is merely average. Your child will be born into poverty. It's quite pitiful. Why are you having a baby before us? Can't you see the situation?" I feel my mental state beginning to deteriorate. Eventually, simply being in their presence brings tears to my eyes, and I find myself retreating to my room, spending entire days locked away. Witnessing this, my parents suggest to my husband that we consider parting ways. If anything were to happen to our unborn child, it would be too late. It seems my parents convinced my husband to swiftly find a new place for us to live away from their home. Without delay, he secures a new residence, and we relocate. Life suddenly becomes serene as if the past were a distant fabrication. While the initial period post-move feels uncertain, with my husband's unwavering support, I manage to navigate through. I remove my brother's contact from my phone and implore my parents not to disclose our address to him and Cindy. Gradually, my parents begin visiting us frequently, seemingly disregarding my brother and Cindy at the family abode. They inquire about the living expenses and rent they'll be covering for us. When my brother and Cindy refuse to contribute, my parents start discarding their belongings into the yard. Unable to endure such treatment, they eventually relocate. Nearly 3 years have passed, and I haven't laid eyes on them. Though we toyed with the idea of moving back in with my parents, the uncertainty of my brother's return kept us from considering it seriously. Living under the same roof wasn't an option I was willing to entertain. Additionally, our family home was showing signs of age. Lately, the idea of my parents relocating to our condo had been floated. And then, just like any other day, as I stepped out the front door for a bit of shopping, I spotted a familiar face. Instantly, a wave of unpleasant memories washed over me. "Oh my gosh, is that you, Lita?" Oh dear, it was Cindy who greeted me with those words. "Why are you here?" "Why wouldn't I be? I'm just here to explore this fancy apartment building." "Explore? You're not thinking of moving in here with my brother, are you?" "Well, that's a secret, but bumping into you is quite the unexpected twist. Still facing financial struggles?" "Excuse me." Struggling with amusement, Cindy flashed a smug grin. Then she gestured towards my outfit and continued, "That inexpensive sweater and those skinny jeans. Money must be tight for you, huh? Heading out of here looking like that, I see. What are you implying?" "Poor dear, you have a child now, don't you? It's just so unfortunate." "What's unfortunate about it? My husband and I are contentedly raising our child." "Don't get all defensive. Someone like you with no redeeming qualities shouldn't even be having a kid. Talk about delusional." Cindy burst out laughing. That was the final straw. I reached my limit. Nothing had changed since our last encounter. If anything, she seemed even more intent on tearing people down. I couldn't tolerate it any longer. I'd had enough. I steeled myself, preparing to respond. Look, what's your problem? I understand you don't like me, but can we just avoid getting involved with each other? What's the rush? Worried I caught you at your most pathetic moment. What are you talking about? Don't act clueless. You're a janitor here, right? Must be rough, struggling financially. Laughter. As it turned out, she mistook me for a janitor, not a resident. It was an understandable error. The high-end apartment building I resided in was so luxurious that it seemed improbable we could afford it solely on my husband's income. Cindy, aware of my husband's workplace, presumed our financial constraints. With a contemptuous tone, she pressed on. It's absurd. You're resorting to working as a janitor just to be near this place. You must be truly desperate. Laughter. Lita, can you stop jumping to conclusions? I'm not the janitor. Oh, lighten up. How about this? I'll keep quiet about seeing you here to Cedric. But in return, starting today, you'll be my servant. You'll do whatever I say. Got it? She's assuming I'm the janitor in this upscale apartment building and making a childish demand. I've reached my limit. It's time to bring her back to reality. Excuse me, what exactly are you misunderstanding? This is my residence. Cindy, who had been grinning just moments ago, now freezes in disbelief. Ignoring her obvious astonishment, I continue. Allow me to clarify. This is the place where I reside, and it's owned by my husband. Wait, what are you saying? Ignoring her shock, I press on. This luxury apartment was initially among the properties owned by my husband's parents. Now, it's passed on to my husband, who manages it through a real estate agent. The reason my husband swiftly found us a new home is because he owns this place. It was inherited from his parents and was originally designated for renting out. He arranged it to shield me from my brother and his wife. Recently, I've started assisting the real estate agent to ease my husband's workload. Her name should have rung a bell for me from the beginning. My husband and I never spotted my brother's or Cindy's names on the list of potential renters provided by the real estate agent. Cindy, who did you come here with today? What? I came with Cedric, obviously. I didn't hear my brother's name from the real estate agent. So you arrived with someone else. Impossible. I came with Cedric. And at that moment, an unfamiliar man hurries up from behind her and says, Sorry for the delay. He drapes his arm around Cindy's waist and plants an affectionate kiss on her cheek. In that instant, the pieces fall into place for me. Cindy too senses that I've caught on, hastily distancing herself from the man. I ain't sure he can hear me as I speak up. Cindy, are you certain it's appropriate to be in this situation? Engaging in such gallivanting as a housewife. You might exhaust my brother, you know. Hey, what are you implying? Oh, what do we have here? A married woman out on a date with another man? Or is he simply a friend? I need to inform my brother. Please just stop. Her plea is desperate, tears glistening in her eyes. But I can't hold back any longer. Addressing her firmly, I ignore her silent pleas, determined not to let any more unwarranted remarks slip. You've got some nerve, don't you? Bringing misery, pushing people to their breaking point. And you haven't changed at all. And now, you're cheating. You've hit rock bottom. Wait, Lita, please. Enough. Because of you and my brother, I've endured so much. How dare you ridicule others without a hint of remorse? I'll never forgive either of you. You'll feel the agony I've endured, and then some. At my words, she crumples to the ground, sobbing uncontrollably. And just like that, Cindy's affair is exposed. Upon my report to my brother, it's revealed she was also concealing her existing marriage, and I've been urging her lover to purchase this upscale apartment for her. Caught in the act, Cindy finds herself sued for marriage fraud by her lover. Shockingly, my brother is also discovered to be having an affair with a coworker. His infidelity is unveiled around the same time at his workplace, resulting in his demotion to a provincial office. Cindy purportedly follows him, yet they both continue to blame each other for their misfortunes. Both are slapped with hefty fines, Cindy by her lover and my brother by the lover's spouse. Unable to cover the expenses with Cindy's former housewife status and my brother's reduced salary, they resort to illegal lenders. Recently, it seems they have a long road ahead to straighten out their lives. And no, I won't be lending a hand. As for me, life continues to be blissful with my family of 3. Thanks to my husband's kindness, my parents will also be relocating to the same high-rise apartment building next month. While we won't be sharing a living space, it's another means of staying close to them. I couldn't be more thankful to my husband. I intend to embrace life to the fullest, cherishing those dear to me.
I used to think the worst moment of my life would feel like an explosion. Some dramatic, earth-shattering event that would leave me gasping in the debris. Instead, it was quiet. Just the soft click of my grandmother's antique door handle as I pushed it open, and the rustle of bed sheets that weren't supposed to be moving at 2 in the afternoon. Ian. My voice came out smaller than I intended. Stupid, really. I already knew it was him. I'd recognize the broad slope of his shoulders anywhere. What I didn't recognize was the cascade of honey blonde hair spilling across my pillow, until my sister Allison lifted her head and met my eyes. Time stretched like taffy. I stood frozen in the doorway, my hand still gripping that brass handle, its familiar warmth now burning against my palm. The diamond on my left hand caught the afternoon light, throwing tiny rainbows across the wall, a cruel reminder of promises made just 6 weeks ago. "Sophia," Ian started, but I was already backing away. My heel caught the edge of the hallway rug, the one Allison had helped me pick out last month. I stumbled, caught myself against the wall. The frame I hit held our family photo from last Christmas. My sister and I, arms around each other, matching smiles. Lies, all of it. "Don't." The word came out raw. "Just don't." I ran. Down the stairs, past the living room where we'd spent countless movie nights, through the kitchen where Ian had proposed. Behind me, I heard scrambling, Ian calling my name, but I was already out the front door. The spring air hit my face, too warm, too sweet with blooming cherry blossoms. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Probably Ian or Allison. I yanked it out, ready to throw it, but Hope's name flashed on the screen. My best friend. The only person I could trust now. "Hey, you okay? You're not answering your texts." "They're sleeping together." My voice cracked. "Hope, I just walked in on them. In my bed, my sister and my fiancé." Silence stretched across the line. Then, "I'm coming to get you. Where are you?" I looked around, realizing I'd been walking blindly. "Parker Street, by the coffee shop." "Stay there, 10 minutes. I sank onto a bench, my legs finally giving out. An elderly woman walked past, smiling kindly. She probably thought I was just another young professional taking a break. She couldn't see how my world had imploded, how every memory was being rewritten in cruel new light. All those late nights Allison spent helping with wedding planning. The way Ian insisted we use her as our photographer. The knowing looks they must have shared behind my back. God, how long had this been going on? My phone buzzed again, a text from Allison. "We need to talk, it's not what you think." Another buzz. "Ian, please let me explain. I never meant to hurt you." I laughed, a harsh sound that startled a nearby pigeon. The engagement ring felt like it was burning my finger. I tried to pull it off, but my hands were shaking too badly. Hope's blue Subaru screeched to a halt at the curb. She jumped out, still in her detective's badge and blazer, and wrapped me in a fierce hug. I broke then, sobbing into her shoulder like I hadn't since we were kids. "I've got you," she murmured. "We'll figure this out." I trusted them. My voice was muffled against her jacket. They were the two people I trusted most in the world. "I know," Hope's tone hardened, "and they're going to regret this." She guided me to her car, but I froze when I saw something on the passenger seat. A cream-colored envelope, elaborate gold lettering visible through the window. "What's that?" Hope's expression darkened. "It came to the station today. I was bringing it to you." I picked up the envelope with numb fingers. The return address was my sister's. Inside was a wedding invitation, dated 3 months from now. The names made my stomach lurch. "Allison Cooper and Ian Long request the pleasure of your company." 3 months, I whispered. "They're getting married in 3 months." Hope's hand found mine, squeezing hard. "What do you want to do?" I stared at the invitation, at my sister's name, entwined with my fiancé's in elegant script. The diamond ring on my finger, my grandmother's ring, passed down through generations, caught the light again. The ring Allison had always envied, the one she'd be wearing now. Something cold and hard crystallized in my chest. I want them to pay. Hope studied my face for a long moment. Okay, she said finally. Then let's make them pay. Hope's apartment became my refuge that night. I sat curled on her couch, still in my work clothes, staring at my phone as the messages piled up. 37 from Ian, 23 from Allison. Each notification felt like another twist of the knife. You need to eat something, Hope said, setting a mug of tea in front of me. The steam carried hints of chamomile, but my stomach churned at the thought of consuming anything. I need to understand how long. My voice sounded hollow, even to me. Was it happening when he proposed? When we picked out the venue? When... Don't torture yourself. Hope sat beside me, her detective's instincts clearly warring with her role as best friend. Though, if you want answers, I might have a way. I looked up. What do you mean? Remember that case I worked last year? The one with the corrupt accountant? She leaned forward, lowering her voice despite us being alone. I still have some contacts who are really good at accessing information. The implication hung in the air. Part of me wanted to refuse, to take the high road, to be better than them. But then my phone buzzed again, and Allison's text preview flashed across the screen. You're being dramatic. Just let me explain. Dramatic. The word ignited something dark inside me. Do it. Hope made a call, speaking in clipped, professional tones. I half listened, my mind drifting to all the signs I'd missed. The way Ian always insisted on having guys' nights when Allison was in town. How my sister volunteered to help with his Christmas shopping, coming back hours later with nothing to show for it. A knock at the door startled me from my thoughts. Hope checked the peephole, then opened it to reveal a tall man in a sharp suit. Prince? I recognized Allison's ex-boyfriend, though I hadn't seen him since their messy breakup 2 years ago. Sophia. He nodded, his expression grim. Hope called, said you needed to know the truth about Allison. My chest tightened. What truth? He pulled out his phone, scrolling through it with precise movements. I kept everything. The texts, the emails, the photos. I thought about exposing it all when she left me, but... He shrugged. I decided to be the bigger person. Now I'm thinking that was a mistake. He handed me the phone. The first image was a hotel receipt from 8 months ago, when Ian was supposedly at a business conference in Chicago. Except this receipt was from the Four Seasons in Boston, where Allison had been for a photography workshop. My hands shook as I scrolled. More receipts, restaurant charges, a jewelry store purchase the day before Ian proposed to me, then text messages between them, stretching back over a year. There's more, Prince said quietly, but you might want to brace yourself. The next image made my blood run cold. It was a bank statement showing regular transfers from Ian's account to Allison's, starting 3 months before he proposed. The amounts matched the wedding photography deposits he'd insisted on handling himself. They were planning this, I whispered. The whole time they were... My phone rang, Allison's face lighting up the screen. Without thinking, I answered. Finally, look, I know you're upset, but how long? My voice was ice. What? How long have you been sleeping with my fiancé, Allison? Was it before or after you helped him pick out my engagement ring? Before or after you convinced me to let you photograph the wedding? Silence crackled across the line. Then, in that condescending tone she'd perfected since childhood. It's complicated, Sophia. You wouldn't understand. Ian and I, we have a connection funded by his bank account. The words tasted like poison. Those deposits must have really helped your photography business, sis. Another pause. When she spoke again, her voice had lost its smoothness. Who told you about that? Prince? That pathetic. Goodbye, Allison. I ended the call and turned to Hope and Prince. I want everything. Every receipt, every message, every dirty little secret they thought they could hide. Hope's expression was carefully neutral. What are you planning? I thought about the wedding invitation, still sitting in Hope's car, about the way Allison had hugged me after Ian proposed, whispering, "I'm so happy for you," while wearing the bracelet he'd bought her the day before. "They want a wedding?" I smiled, and it felt like breaking glass. "Let's give them one they'll never forget." Prince raised an eyebrow. "I'm in. Whatever you need." Hope sighed, but I saw the determination in her eyes. "Just promise me one thing, Sophia. Whatever we do it smart. No impulsive moves." I nodded, my grandmother's ring catching the light one last time before I slipped it off. "Trust me, impulsive is the last thing this will be." The storage unit smelled like dust and forgotten promises. I stood in front of the small safe tucked in the corner, my grandmother's ring heavy in my palm. Inside were the only copies of photos from my parents' wedding, the ones Allison had always coveted, claiming they'd been lost when she moved. "You sure about this?" Hope asked, flashlight beam steady on the safe's dial. "They're in here, along with Mum's jewelry." I twisted the combination, Allison's birthday, because of course that's what our mother had used. She always said she'd keep them safe for me. The safe clicked open. Inside, nestled among velvet pouches and yellowed envelopes, sat a familiar blue folder. My hands trembled as I pulled it out. "Well, that's interesting." Prince's voice made me jump. He stood in the doorway, silhouetted against the fluorescent hallway lights. "Your sister's been busy with more than just Ian." He handed me his phone. On the screen was an email chain between Allison and our family lawyer, dated 3 months ago. My eyes caught phrases like transfer of ownership and family estate. "She's trying to claim Grandma's house." The words came out choked. "But that's supposed to be split between us. Keep reading." I scrolled down, my vision blurring. Allison had been laying groundwork for months, documenting every time I'd shown instability or made concerning decisions. The final email mentioned her upcoming marriage to Ian as proof she could provide a stable family environment for the property. "I'm going to be sick." I sat heavily on a dusty box, the folder of wedding photos clutched to my chest. Hope's hand found my shoulder. "We can use this. If she's trying to manipulate the inheritance..." A shadow moved in the hallway. We all froze. "Hello?" A familiar voice called out. "Is someone in there?" Griffin, my co-worker. The one person at work who'd noticed something was wrong when I stopped wearing my engagement ring. "Sophia." He appeared in the doorway, confusion clear on his face. "What are you doing here? I could ask you the same thing," I managed, trying to look casual while Hope subtly moved to block the safe. "I rent the unit next door." His eyes moved from me to Prince to Hope, then to the folder in my hands. "Are you okay? You've seemed off lately. And now this." "I'm fine." The lie tasted bitter. "Just collecting some old photos." "At 9 p.m. with a detective." He gestured to Hope's badge, still visible on her belt. "Look, if you're in trouble..." "She's not," Prince cut in smoothly. "But someone else might be. Someone who's been taking advantage of family connections." Understanding dawned in Griffin's eyes. "This is about your sister, isn't it? And Ian." The sound of their names together made me flinch. Griffin noticed. "Let me help," he said quietly. "Whatever's going on, you don't have to handle it alone." "You don't understand what you're offering," I warned. "This could get messy. I understand enough." He stepped fully into the unit, closing the door behind him. "I understand that 2 people who claimed to love you betrayed you, and I understand that sometimes justice needs a little help." Hope shot me a warning look, but I was already pulling out my phone, showing Griffin the evidence Prince had gathered. His expression darkened as he scrolled. "There's more," I said, opening the folder of wedding photos. "She's trying to steal our inheritance, using her relationship with Ian to prove she's more stable than me." Griffin handed back my phone. "You know what's interesting about financial fraud? It's amazing how many people forget about digital footprints, especially when they're accessing legal documents they shouldn't have." "What do you mean?" "I mean, I work in cybersecurity, Sophia. And if someone were hypothetically trying to access confidential files without authorization, Hope straightened. That would be a criminal offense. Only if they get caught. Griffin's smile was sharp. So, what's the plan? I looked at the three people around me. Hope with her legal knowledge, Prince with his evidence, Griffin with his technical skills. Then I thought of Alison's smug text. You're being dramatic. The plan, I said, pulling out the wedding invitation, is to make sure their perfect day has some unexpected guests, starting with the family lawyer. That's risky, Hope cautioned. If we move too fast. My phone buzzed. A text from Adam, my ex. Heard about Ian. Need to talk. It's important. Speaking of unexpected guests, Prince muttered. I stared at the message, remembering how things had ended with Adam, messy and unfinished, like a book missing its final chapter. Now he wanted back in the story. Maybe we need risky, I said, more to myself than the others. Maybe safe is what got me here in the first place. I typed back a single word. When? The diner's neon sign cast a sickly blue glow across Adam's face as he slid into the booth across from me. 3 years since our breakup, and he still ordered the same black coffee, still wore that battered leather jacket. You look good, he said, studying me over the rim of his mug. Considering my fiancé is marrying my sister. The words didn't hurt as much as they had yesterday. Maybe I was going numb. How did you hear? Ian called me. Adam's expression darkened. Wanted to explain his side before I found out from someone else. Like he was doing me a favor. My stomach clenched. What did he say? That you were unstable. That Alison was just trying to help, and things happened. He reached across the table, his fingers brushing mine. I know that's bullshit, Sophia. I know you. I pulled my hand back. Do you? Because last time we were here, you said I was too intense, too focused on what everyone else thought. I was wrong. His voice dropped. And I think that's why Ian targeted you, because you care so deeply about family, about doing the right thing. He knew you wouldn't see it coming. Something cold settled in my chest. What aren't you telling me? Adam glanced around the nearly empty diner, then pulled out his phone. Remember Marcus from accounting? He sent me this. The email on his screen was from Ian to the company's HR department, dated 2 months ago. A request for transfer to the Boston office, effective immediately after his wedding. Along with it, a recommendation letter for Alison to take over his current position. They're not just stealing your life, Adam said quietly. They're taking your future. That promotion you've been working toward? The one Ian kept saying you were a shoo-in for? My coffee turned to acid in my stomach. The promotion I'd spent 3 years earning, staying late, taking on extra projects, all while Ian apparently planned to hand it to my sister. There's more, Adam continued. Marcus said Ian's been quietly undermining your work for months. Small things, taking credit for your ideas, suggesting you might not be ready for more responsibility. The fluorescent light suddenly felt too bright, the vinyl booth too sticky. I think I need some air. Outside, the night air was thick with approaching rain. I leaned against the brick wall, trying to steady my breathing, while Adam stood quietly beside me. Why are you telling me this? I finally asked. Why get involved? Because I remember how it felt, watching you doubt yourself when we were together. How hard you worked to prove everyone wrong. He turned to face me. And because I saw what Alison did to Prince, how she played the victim while destroying him professionally. My phone buzzed. A text from Griffin. Found something in the lawyer's files. You need to see this. I have to go. I straightened, already reaching for my keys. Wait. Adam caught my wrist. Whatever you're planning, and I know you're planning something, be careful. Ian's not just some cheating fiancé. He's methodical. He's been laying groundwork for months. So have I. I met his eyes. Are you warning me off or offering to help? Both. Neither. He ran a hand through his hair in frustration. Just remember what happened with Marcus when he tried to expose corporate fraud last year. I remembered. Marcus had all the evidence, all the proof. He'd also ended up blacklisted from every major firm in the city. "I'm not Marcus," I said, "and I'm not the same person you broke up with 3 years ago." "No," Adam agreed softly. "You're not. That's what scares me." My phone buzzed again. Hope this time. "Where are you? Griffin found proof of wire fraud." "I have to go," I repeated, already moving toward my car. "Sophia," Adam's voice stopped me. "There's one more thing. The night before Ian proposed to you, he was with Allison. They had dinner with your family lawyer. Something about updating your grandmother's will. The pieces clicked together. The inheritance, the promotion, the careful documentation of my instability. They weren't just planning a wedding. They were systematically dismantling my life." "Thank you," I said, meaning it, "for telling me." "What are you going to do?" I thought about the safe in the storage unit, about Griffin's discovery, about Prince's evidence. "I'm going to show them what happens when you underestimate someone." The first drops of rain hit the pavement as I drove away, leaving Adam in the rearview mirror. My phone lit up with another text, from Ian this time. "We need to talk about the house. Your sister's worried about your state of mind." I smiled, and it felt like war. "Oh, we'll talk," I whispered to the empty car, "but not until I'm ready." Griffin's apartment looked like a command center from a heist movie. Laptops surrounded him on the coffee table, screens filled with financial records and email chains. Hope paced behind the couch, her detective's mind clearly racing. "It's worse than we thought," Griffin said as I shrugged off my rain-soaked jacket. "The wire transfers? They're just the beginning." He turned one laptop toward me. The document displayed was a trust agreement, my grandmother's elegant signature at the bottom. Except, that's not her signature. I leaned closer, stomach churning. The G is wrong, she always looped it twice. "Exactly." Hope stopped pacing. "And guess who notarized it?" "The family lawyer," I whispered, remembering Adam's words about that dinner before Ian's proposal. 3 days before your grandmother passed," Griffin confirmed, "when she was in the hospital, barely conscious." The implications hit me like a physical blow. I sank onto the couch, the room spinning slightly. They forged her signature. They waited until she couldn't fight back, and they just... "There's more." Prince emerged from the kitchen, his usual polish cracked by obvious anger. "Show her the emails, Griffin." Another screen. Another betrayal. Emails between Allison and Ian, dating back to before I'd even met him. They'd planned everything. How he would accidentally meet me at the charity gala. How he'd pursue me while keeping Allison in the background. I was never anything but a stepping stone. The words tasted like ashes. A way to get the inheritance, the house, the job. "You were the golden child," Prince said quietly. "The one your parents trusted with the family business. The one your grandmother chose. Allison couldn't stand it." My phone lit up, Allison's face on the screen. Without thinking, I answered. Finally decided to be reasonable. Her voice dripped honey-sweet concern. "Ian and I are worried about you, hiding away like this. It's not healthy. Like forging a dying woman's signature?" The line went dead silent. "Or maybe like planning to steal her granddaughter's life." "Who?" She caught herself. "I don't know what you're talking about. You're obviously having some kind of breakdown." "Stop." My voice shook with rage. "Just stop. I have the emails, Allison. The trust agreement. Everything." A pause. Then her tone changed completely. "What do you want?" "Excuse me?" "To keep quiet. What's your price?" Clinical, calculating. The sister I never truly knew. "Name it. Ian and I can..." "Can what? Pay me off with the money you stole?" I laughed, and it sounded strange even to my ears. "You really don't know me at all, do you?" "Don't be stupid, Sophia. Think about Mom and Dad. Think about the scandal. Goodbye, Allison." I ended the call and looked up to find 3 pairs of eyes watching me intently. "She'll come after you now," Hope warned. "They both will. No more playing nice." "Good." I stood, walking to Griffin's evidence wall. Photos, documents, timelines all connected with red string. Because I'm done playing nice too. My phone buzzed again, a text from Adam. Ian's looking for your grandmother's ring. Says it's a family emergency. They're getting desperate, Prince observed, reading over my shoulder. That's when people make mistakes. Or when they get dangerous, Hope countered. We need to be smart about this. Griffin cleared his throat. Actually, I might have an idea, but... He hesitated. You're not going to like it. Try me. The wedding's at the Grand Hotel, right? Where you work events sometimes. At my nod, he continued. Well, what if we didn't just expose them? What if we let them think they've won first? Understanding dawned. You want me to play along? Just long enough to get everything in place. The hotel's security system, the guest list, the timing. He gestured to his screens. We could turn their perfect day into the moment everything falls apart. It's risky, Hope said. If they suspect anything. They won't. I walked to the window, watching rain streak the glass. Because they think they know exactly who I am. The good sister, the reliable one, the one who always takes the high road. My phone lit up one more time. An email from the family lawyer, requesting an urgent meeting to discuss concerning behavior. Right on cue. I turned back to my unlikely allies, the detective, the ex, the tech expert, each bringing pieces of the puzzle together. The wedding's in 8 weeks, I said. Let's make them count. Prince raised an eyebrow. You sure about this? Once we start, they took everything from me. I picked up my grandmother's ring from my pocket, holding it to the light. Now I'm going to take everything from them, starting with their perfect day. The rain pounded harder against the windows, nature's applause for the storm to come. The bridal boutique's bell chimed as I entered, and my sister's face lit up with calculated joy. You came! Allison rushed forward, arms open. I let her hug me, feeling like a spy behind enemy lines. Of course. I forced a smile, remembering Griffin's coaching. You're still my sister. The boutique owner cooed at our reconciliation, while Hope watched silently from a corner, playing her role as the supportive friend. We'd planned this carefully. My apparent breakdown, followed by a tearful phone call accepting Allison's invitation to her final fitting. The dress is perfect, Allison gushed, twirling in layers of white silk. Ian's going to lose his mind. Not the only thing he's going to lose, I thought, but kept my expression neutral. It's beautiful. Speaking of Ian, Allison's voice turned hesitant. He really wants to talk to you. Clear the air before the wedding. I don't know if I'm ready. The tremor in my voice wasn't entirely acting. Please? She grabbed my hands, and for a moment I saw the sister I'd grown up with, the one I'd trusted with everything. Just coffee? Tomorrow morning at Marcel's? From the corner, Hope gave an imperceptible nod. Marcel's was perfect, public enough to be safe, close enough to Griffin's surveillance setup. Okay, I whispered. Tomorrow. Allison beamed, turning back to the mirror. You know, it's funny. I always thought you'd be the first to get married. You were always so conventional. The word hit like a slap. In the mirror's reflection, I saw Hope tense. But life's surprising, isn't it? Allison continued, adjusting her veil. Sometimes the person you think is perfect for someone else turns out to be perfect for you instead. My nails dug into my palms. How long? How long were you in love with him? Allison's hand stilled on the veil. Our eyes met in the mirror. Always, she said softly, since the night you introduced us. But he was with you, and I tried to be happy for you both. I really did. Liar. The word slipped out before I could stop it. She spun to face me, silk rustling. Excuse me? I saw the emails, Allison. From before I met Ian, you planned everything. The boutique owner disappeared into the back room, sensing the tension. Hope moved closer, ready to intervene. You weren't supposed to find those. Allison's voice turned cold. You're really making this harder than it needs to be, like you made it hard for Prince, destroying his career when he caught on to your games. Prince was a mistake. He didn't understand what Ian and I have. She stepped closer, dropping her voice. Just like you don't understand that sometimes love means taking what you want, whatever it costs. Even if it costs your sister everything? Oh, Sophia. She touched my cheek, a parody of sisterly affection. You'll bounce back. You always do. The reliable one, remember. But if you keep pushing... Her nail dug in slightly. Well, the family's already worried about your mental state. It would be a shame if your work found out about your episodes. My phone buzzed. A text from Griffin. Got it all, audio and video. I stepped back, letting out a shaky breath. You really think you've won, don't you? Haven't I? She turned back to the mirror, adjusting her perfect dress. I get Ian, the house, the promotion. You get... What? Some moral high ground. That's always been your problem, Sophia. You play by the rules and wonder why you lose. Hope's hand found my shoulder, steadying me. Another text lit up my phone. From Ian. Can't wait to talk tomorrow. There's so much you need to understand. You're right, I said, watching Alison preen. I did always play by the rules. She smiled smugly. But rules can change. I walked out of the boutique, Hope close behind. In the car, she finally spoke. You okay? No. I pulled out my phone, dialing Griffin. But I will be. Did you get what we needed? Every word. His voice crackled through the speaker, including the threat. Prince is already working on the video edit. Good. I stared at the boutique's facade, at Alison visible through the window in her perfect white dress. Because tomorrow's coffee with Ian, that's our last piece. You sure you can handle it? Hope asked, being face to face with him. I thought of Alison's words. Sometimes love means taking what you want, whatever it costs. Watch me. I started the car, leaving my sister's reflection behind. By this time tomorrow, they'll wish they'd never underestimated the reliable one. My phone lit up one last time. A message from Adam. Ian's getting nervous, making calls about moving up the wedding date. Let him try, I muttered, pressing the accelerator. The trap's already set. And tomorrow, it would snap shut. Marcel's morning crowd parted like water as I walked in, though maybe that was just in my head. Ian sat at our old table by the window, 2 coffees already waiting. He'd ordered mine with almond milk, a detail that once would have made my heart flutter. You look beautiful, he said as I sat down, the same soft tone he'd used when he proposed. Don't. I wrapped my hands around the coffee cup, letting its warmth ground me. Through the window, I glimpsed Hope's car across the street, Griffin's surveillance van 2 spaces down. I know you're angry. Ian leaned forward, his cologne achingly familiar. But what Alison and I have, it's real, Sophia. Sometimes the heart wants... My grandmother's ring. I kept my voice steady. Where is it? He blinked, thrown off script. What? The ring you proposed with. The one that disappeared from my jewelry box the day after I caught you together. I met his eyes. The family heirloom you're planning to give my sister. That's not... He glanced around, lowering his voice. Look, your grandmother would have wanted... Don't you dare. My cup rattled against the saucer. Don't you dare tell me what she would have wanted. You're not thinking clearly. His hand reached for mine. I pulled back. Alison and I are worried about you. These accusations, these paranoid theories. Like the theory that you've been embezzling company funds. I pulled out my phone, sliding it across the table. Or that you forged my grandmother's signature while she was dying. His face went still. Behind him, through the window, I saw Prince's car pull up right on schedule. Where did you get those documents? Does it matter? I took a sip of coffee, channeling Alison's casual cruelty. What matters is where they're going. The board of directors, the family lawyer, the police. You're bluffing. But his hands weren't quite steady as he pushed my phone back. You wouldn't risk hurting your sister like that. My sister? I laughed, the sound sharp enough to make nearby customers turn. You mean the one who helped you steal my promotion? Who's been documenting my mental instability to steal my inheritance? Color drained from his face. How did you— I know everything, Ian. I stood up, my chair scraping back. Every email, every transfer, every little plan you two made while pretending to love me. Sophia, wait. He grabbed my wrist. We can figure this out. Whatever you want. The cafe door chimed. Alison burst in, face flushed. What did you do? She demanded, waving her phone. The lawyer just called. The trust agreement, the company records. They're investigating everything. Other customers were definitely staring now. Through the window, I saw Hope step out of her car, Prince and Griffin flanking her. You promised to handle this, Alison hissed at Ian. You said she was too naive to— Naive? I twisted free of Ian's grip. Like I was naive when you helped me plan my wedding. Or when you consoled me after Mom died, all while forging documents in her office. Keep your voice down, Ian warned, standing. Why? Worried someone might hear the truth? About the fraud, the forgery, the— Enough! Alison's hand shot out, knocking over my coffee. Hot liquid splashed across the table. You want to play hardball? Fine. Let's talk about your little breakdown last year. The medications, the fake medical records you planted. Hope's voice cut through the chaos as she entered, badge visible. Those are interesting reading, especially the part where the doctor's signature doesn't match any licensed physician in the state. Alison's face went white. Ian started to move, but Prince and Griffin were already there, blocking the exits. You can't prove anything, Ian said, but his voice shook. I pulled out my grandmother's ring, the real one, not the replica they'd stolen. Actually, we can prove everything, starting with this. Where did you— Alison's eyes widened as understanding hit. The safe. You found Mum's safe, and everything in it. I turned to the growing crowd of onlookers, raising my voice. Would anyone like to hear a story about two people who thought love justified fraud, theft, and betraying family? You're making a mistake, Ian tried one last time. Think about your career, your reputation. My reputation? I stepped closer, close enough to smell his fear beneath the expensive cologne. My reputation is about to be the least of your concerns. The cafe door chimed one final time. The family lawyer walked in, followed by two police officers and a man I recognized from the company's board of directors. Perfect timing, I said, smiling at my sister's shocked face. I believe you all have some questions for these two. As the officers moved forward, I caught a glimpse of my reflection in the window. I didn't look naive anymore. I didn't look reliable. I looked free. The Grand Hotel's ballroom sparkled with the decorations meant for my sister's perfect day. I stood in the doorway, watching the police photograph evidence instead of wedding flowers, cataloguing crimes where vows should have been exchanged. You okay? Hope appeared beside me, her detective's notepad full of statements. Better than okay. I touched my grandmother's ring, now back on my hand where it belonged. Just thinking about how different this room was supposed to look today. Ms. Cooper, a forensic accountant waved me over to where Ian's laptop lay open. We found something interesting in the deleted files. I walked over, my heels clicking on marble that should have carried my sister down the aisle. The screen showed a familiar document, my grandmother's will, but this version was different from both the real one and the forged one. Look at the date, the accountant said. This draft was created before your grandmother's illness. My breath caught. The will left everything to Alison, but it was in my grandmother's actual handwriting. I don't understand. She changed her mind, a voice said behind me. I turned to find Adam, holding a stack of letters. Found these in Ian's office safe. They're from your grandmother to Alison. I took the letters with trembling hands. The most recent was dated just before her illness. My dearest Alison, I know this will hurt you, but I've decided to change the will. Sophia has shown the judgment and compassion needed to manage the family's legacy. I hope someday you'll understand. She knew. The words tasted bitter. She knew Grandma had chosen me, so she and Ian decided to take what they thought she deserved, Hope finished, by any means necessary. A commotion at the doorway drew our attention. Prince entered, looking grimmer than usual. You need to hear this. He played an audio file on his phone. Allison's voice, crystal clear. "Ian, you idiot, she was never supposed to find the original will. That's why we... No, listen to me. If she figures out what really happened during Grandma's last week, when we..." The recording cut off, but the implication hung heavy in the air. "Are you saying they..." I couldn't finish the sentence. "The hospital's reopening the investigation into your grandmother's death," Hope said quietly. "There were irregularities in her care during those final days." The ballroom spun slightly. Griffin appeared at my elbow, steadying me. "There's more," he said. "The company audit found evidence of long-term fraud. Not just Ian, other executives too. They're saying you exposed a whole network." I walked to the window, looking out at the garden where the reception should have been, where Allison and Ian would have danced their first dance as husband and wife if today had gone according to their plan. "Ms. Cooper?" the forensic accountant called again. "There's something else you should see." But before I could move, the ballroom doors burst open. Allison stood there, still in custody, but allowed this final visit to gather personal items. Our eyes met across the room that should have been her triumph. "Are you happy now?" she spat. "You've ruined everything." "No, Allison." I crossed the marble floor slowly, each step deliberate. "You ruined everything. The moment you decided love meant destroying anyone in your way. She was supposed to choose me." Tears streaked her makeup. "I was the oldest, the one who sacrificed everything for this family. But she chose you. She always chose you. And you chose revenge." I stopped in front of her, close enough to see the sister I'd lost beneath the stranger she'd become. "Was it worth it?" She laughed, a broken sound. "You tell me, little sister. Was your revenge worth it?" I thought about the months of planning, the nights spent building evidence instead of crying, the strength I'd found in my anger. This wasn't revenge, Allison. This was justice. For Grandma. For everyone you and Ian hurt. "Justice," she echoed mockingly. "Keep telling yourself that." The officers moved to lead her away. At the door, she turned back one last time. "You know what's funny? In the end, you became exactly what you hated, someone who'd do anything to win." I watched her disappear down the hallway, her words echoing in the empty ballroom. Around me, evidence was being bagged, statements taken, a criminal empire dismantled on what should have been its day of celebration. "She's wrong," Hope said, joining me. "You're nothing like them." I touched my grandmother's ring again, feeling its weight, not as a burden now, but as a reminder. "No," I said softly. "I'm something they never expected me to be. I'm free."
I smoothed my hands over the silk dress, trying to calm the butterflies in my stomach. The rehearsal dinner was supposed to start in an hour, and everything was perfect. The fairy lights strung across the garden, the delicate peonies on every table, the champagne chilling in silver buckets. Tomorrow, I'd finally become Mrs. Josiah Ross. After 4 years together, our dream was about to come true. "Melina?" my soon-to-be sister-in-law's voice carried from the hallway. "Do you have a minute?" "Come in, Autumn," I called, still fussing with my hair in the mirror. I could use another opinion on these earrings. The door opened, but Autumn didn't step inside. Her face was drawn, lacking its usual warmth. "We need to talk, now." Something in her tone made my skin prickle. I turned away from the mirror, letting my hands drop to my sides. "What's wrong?" "Not here." She glanced over her shoulder. "Meet me in the garden, 5 minutes." Before I could respond, she was gone, leaving me standing alone with my reflection. The woman in the mirror looked uncertain now, her earlier glow dimming. I grabbed my wrap and headed downstairs, heels clicking against the wooden steps. The garden was eerily quiet, the fairy lights casting strange shadows. Autumn stood near the rose trellis, clutching a manila envelope. My chest tightened. "What's going on?" I asked, hating how small my voice sounded. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. "I tried to tell him not to do this today, but he insisted." She thrust the envelope toward me. He wanted you to have these before tomorrow. My fingers trembled as I opened it. The legal letterhead swam before my eyes, but certain phrases jumped out with brutal clarity. Petition for dissolution of marriage, irreconcilable differences, property division. I don't understand. The papers slipped from my grasp, scattering across the grass like dead leaves. We're getting married tomorrow. No. Autumn's voice cracked. You're not. Where is he? The world tilted sideways as understanding crashed over me. Where's Josiah? He's gone. He left this morning. Gone where? I demanded, but I already knew. The signs had been there, the late nights at work, the mysterious texts, the way he'd grown distant. I just hadn't wanted to see them. He's with Claire. Autumn wouldn't meet my eyes. They've been together for months. She's pregnant. Claire, his new assistant, 23 years old with perfect hair and an Instagram influencer smile. The one he'd assured me was just a colleague when I'd voiced concerns. You knew. The accusation tasted like acid. You knew and you didn't tell me. He's my brother, Melina. What was I supposed to do? Warn me. My voice echoed across the garden. Before I ordered the dress, booked the venue, sent the invitations, before I let myself believe in forever with someone who was already planning his escape. I wanted to, but nothing. I grabbed the envelope, crumpling it in my fist. You sat there through every dress fitting, every cake tasting, every stupid planning session. You helped me pick out china patterns while knowing he was building a life with someone else. Autumn reached for me, but I jerked away. Don't touch me. Don't you dare try to comfort me now. Please, just listen. To what? More lies? I laughed, and it sounded unhinged even to my own ears. God, I'm such an idiot. All those times you invited us over for dinner, insisted I join your book club, treated me like family. Was any of it real? Or were you just keeping me distracted while your brother made his exit strategy? It wasn't like that, she protested, but her face gave her away. 150 people are about to show up for my wedding, I said, my voice deadly calm. Who's gonna tell them? You? Your coward of a brother? Or should I just send a group text? Sorry, turns out the groom's been busy knocking up his secretary. Tears spilled down Autumn's cheeks. I'll handle it. I'll call everyone. How generous of you. I turned away, my legs somehow carrying me toward the house. Don't bother sending the gifts back. Consider them payment for services rendered. 4 years of my life, wasted on a lie everyone but me could see. Melina, wait. I didn't stop. I couldn't. Because if I stopped moving, I'd start feeling, and if I started feeling, I might never stop screaming. Behind me, the fairy lights flickered in the darkness, mocking the celebration that would never come. Tomorrow, instead of walking down the aisle, I'd be picking up the pieces of my shattered future. But first, I had a rehearsal dinner to cancel and a wedding dress to burn. And after that, Josiah Ross would learn exactly what happens when you mistake someone's kindness for weakness. The wedding dress hung in my closet like a ghost, taunting me. I hadn't slept, spending the night alternating between rage scrolling through 4 years of photos and fighting the urge to drive to Claire's apartment. Instead, I sat cross-legged on my bedroom floor at dawn, surrounded by the debris of my almost marriage. My phone buzzed again. Probably another concerned message from Thea. She'd been texting since midnight when I'd sent her a photo of the divorce papers with only 3 words. Wedding is off. I reached for the bottle of wine I'd opened hours ago, but my hand froze mid-motion. There, buried under a stack of cards, was the permission slip that had started everything. The innocent-looking document Josiah had asked me to sign 6 months ago, granting him access to my trust fund for wedding expenses. The memory hit like a punch to the gut. He'd been so casual about it, kissing my neck as I signed. Just a formality, baby. Makes things easier for the vendors. My fingers trembled as I opened my banking app. The trust fund balance glared back at me. 12,463. Last time I'd checked, it had been over $200,000. The scream built in my throat before I could stop it. I hurled my phone across the room, watching it crack against the wall. The sound of breaking glass was satisfying enough that I reached for the nearest photo frame. Melina? Thea's voice carried through the door, followed by the click of my spare key in the lock. I'm coming in, so please don't throw anything at me. She appeared in my doorway, taking in the chaos, the scattered photos, the empty wine bottle, my mascara-streaked face. Without a word, she stepped carefully through the mess and sat beside me. He took my money, I whispered. All of it. Thea's intake of breath was sharp. When? Last month, right after I signed over access. I laughed, the sound brittle. Probably needed it for the baby. Or maybe Claire has expensive taste in maternity wear. We're calling the police. No. I grabbed her arm as she reached for her phone. Not yet. He stole from you. And I'm going to make him pay. The clarity of the thought cut through my hangover haze. But not like that. Not with some messy legal battle where he gets to play victim and paint me as the bitter ex. Then how? I stood up, swaying slightly as I made my way to my laptop. Remember when Autumn added me to their family photo sharing account? The one she uses to back up everything from her phone? Thea's eyes widened. You still have access? She never revoked it. My fingers flew across the keyboard. And look what I found this morning while I couldn't sleep. The screen filled with messages, hundreds of them. Screenshots of conversations between Josiah and Autumn dating back months. Plans, warnings, strategies for keeping me distracted. Holy shit, Thea breathed, reading over my shoulder. She wasn't just covering for him. She was helping him plan everything. It gets better. I clicked through to a folder of photos. See this? The timestamp shows Josiah at Claire's apartment the same day he told me he was visiting his sick grandmother. And look who took the picture. Autumn, Thea said slowly. But why would she? Because she's always been jealous. The pieces had fallen into place during my sleepless night. She hated that Josiah found someone before she did. Hated that I got the perfect proposal, the perfect ring, the perfect life she thought she deserved. So she helped him destroy it. What are you going to do? I closed the laptop, turning to face my best friend. First, I'm going to get my money back. Then I'm going to make sure everyone knows exactly who they really are. Not just Josiah and Claire, but sweet, supportive Autumn, too. Melina. Thea's voice held a warning. Don't do anything crazy. Crazy would be letting them get away with this. I stood up, suddenly energized. Crazy would be playing the heartbroken victim while they build their perfect little family with my money. And what's your plan? Revenge porn? Social media warfare? That's not you. The old me died yesterday. I walked to the closet and yanked out the wedding dress. This is what they expect me to do. Cry, drink, post sad quotes about betrayal. But I'm done being predictable. I grabbed my scissors and started cutting, the sound of shearing silk oddly satisfying. They want a show. I'll give them one. But first, I need you to help me with something. What? I held up my phone, displaying Autumn's backup folder. We're going to download everything, and then we're going to figure out exactly how deep this betrayal goes. The dress lay in ruins at my feet, white fabric scattered like surrender flags. But I wasn't surrendering. I was declaring war. Monday morning hit like a hangover, even though I'd been sober for 36 hours. The office buzzed with whispers as I walked to my desk, chin high, makeup perfect. Let them talk. I had work to do. Melina? Lionel appeared at my cubicle, coffee in hand. My mentor's face held none of its usual warmth. My office, now. I followed him down the hall, past curious eyes and not quite hidden phones. Someone had already updated the office gossip channel, no doubt. Sit, he said, closing the door, and explain why Josiah's lawyer called me this morning. My carefully constructed mask cracked. What? He claims you're harassing Claire at work, says you created a fake Instagram account to post about their relationship. I haven't. I stopped, the pieces clicking together. Show me. Lionel turned his monitor around. There it was, a fresh account filled with photos of Josiah and Claire, dated timestamps proving their affair. The caption under each one dripped with vengeful spite. That's not me, I said quietly. That's Autumn. Josiah's sister? Why would she? To discredit me. My laugh held no humor. Make me look unhinged before I can tell my side. Classic gaslighting. Lionel studied me for a long moment. There's more to this than a called-off wedding, isn't there? I hesitated. Lionel had been my mentor for 3 years, the closest thing to a father figure I had since Dad died. But trust felt like a luxury I couldn't afford anymore. He took my money, I finally said, my trust fund, all of it. Lionel's expression darkened. How? I signed it over, for the wedding. The admission burned. I was stupid. No, his voice was sharp. You were in love. There's a difference. He typed something into his computer. When exactly did the transfer happen? Last month. Why? Because I handle the corporate accounts, remember? Including the one Josiah used for client billing. More typing. And I've noticed some irregularities lately. My heart stuttered. What kind of irregularities? The kind that might interest the FBI. He turned the screen toward me again. Look at these transactions. Numbers filled the screen. Dates, amounts, account transfers. Most meant nothing to me until I saw it. A transfer to an offshore account, dated exactly 1 day after my trust fund withdrawal. He's been embezzling, Lionel said softly, using client funds to cover his tracks. Your money was probably meant to fill the latest hole before someone noticed. The room spun. How long have you known? I started suspecting last week, planned to confront him today. Lionel's eyes met mine. But he didn't show up for work, did he? No. My voice sounded distant. He's gone, with Claire, and your money. Lionel's fingers drummed the desk, which means we have leverage. We? You think I'm letting you handle this alone? He smiled, but it wasn't his usual gentle expression. I've got 20 years of forensic accounting experience and a serious problem with men who steal from women who trust them. Hope flickered, dangerous and bright. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting we do this smart, legal, airtight. He pulled out a notepad. Tell me everything. Start with Autumn's involvement. For the next hour, I laid it all out. The backup folder, the messages, the calculated betrayal. Lionel took notes, occasionally asking questions that revealed patterns I hadn't noticed. One more thing, he said as I finished. Did Josiah ever mention someone named Grayson? Grayson Mitchell? No. Why? Because he's been trying to reach you. He's a former client of Josiah's and... Lionel's phone buzzed. His expression changed as he read the message. Speaking of Autumn, he turned his phone around. There on the screen was a post from Autumn's personal Instagram, a photo of me from yesterday, clearly taken without my knowledge, slumped against my car with wine bottles visible through the window. The caption read, "Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is admit you need help. Praying for you, M." The sympathy comments were already rolling in. Poor Melina having a breakdown. Poor Melina drinking her pain away. Poor Melina can't handle rejection gracefully. She's playing you, Lionel said quietly, setting you up to look unstable before you can expose them. I know. My voice was ice. But she made a mistake. What's that? I pulled out my phone, opening the backup folder. She forgot to check her location settings when she took that photo. See the metadata? She wasn't driving by my house randomly. She was parked there for 3 hours, waiting. Lionel's eyebrows rose. That's stalking. Yes, I smiled, and it felt like baring teeth. And now we have proof. The pieces were falling into place, but not the way Autumn expected. She thought she was writing my story, the sad ex-fiancé's spiral into obsession. But she'd forgotten something crucial. Every story has 2 sides, and I was just getting started with mine. The coffee shop was crowded, but Grayson found me instantly. Something about the way he carried himself, shoulders tight, eyes scanning, told me he was as used to watching his back as I was becoming. Melina? He slid into the seat across from me. Thank you for meeting me. Lionel vouched for you, I said. That's the only reason I'm here. He nodded, pushing a manila folder across the table. These are copies of everything. Bank statements, emails, wire transfers. What Josiah did to you, he did to me first. My hands shook as I opened the folder. The numbers were staggering. Hundreds of thousands siphoned from client accounts, all carefully concealed behind legitimate-looking transactions. How did you figure it out? Claire. His mouth twisted. She was my assistant before Josiah hired her away. When she left, I started finding discrepancies. The pieces clicked together. She wasn't just his mistress. She was his accomplice. Smart girl. He leaned forward. But here's what you don't know. Autumn's been part of it from the beginning. My coffee turned to acid in my stomach. What do you mean? She's the one who approached Claire, offered her the job with Josiah. They needed someone on the inside who could manipulate the accounts without raising suspicion. He pulled out his phone, showing me a series of texts. Claire got sloppy, left these on the company phone when she quit. The messages revealed a carefully orchestrated plan. Autumn had been watching me for months before Josiah proposed, learning my routines, my vulnerabilities. The trust fund wasn't just a target of opportunity. It had been the goal all along. Why? The word felt like glass in my throat. Why go through with the wedding planning? Why not just take the money and run? Because of your sister. Grayson's eyes met mine. Eliza works at First National, doesn't she? In the fraud department? The room tilted. Eliza, my baby sister, who'd been so excited about the wedding, who'd insisted on handling all the financial arrangements. They needed her distracted, I whispered. Keep her focused on wedding details so she wouldn't notice the suspicious transfers. Exactly. Grayson's voice was gentle. And it worked, until now. My phone buzzed. A text from Eliza. Lunch today? Need to talk about something weird at work. She's starting to notice, Grayson said, watching my face, which means they'll move soon. The offshore accounts are ready. Once that money disappears, it's gone forever. I stood up, suddenly unable to sit still. I have to warn her. Wait. He caught my arm. Think, if you tell her everything now, what's the first thing she'll do? Report it. The realization hit hard, and they'll know we're on to them. Let me help. He released my arm. I've been building this case for months. One wrong move and they'll vanish, with your money, my money, and probably half the firm's client accounts. My phone buzzed again. Autumn this time. Family dinner tonight? We need to talk about your Instagram posts. Everyone's worried. They're watching you, Grayson said quietly, waiting for you to crack, to do something impulsive that proves their narrative, the unstable ex who couldn't handle rejection. So what do I do? Play your part. His smile was sharp. Let Autumn think she's winning. Meet Eliza for lunch, but don't mention anything suspicious. Go to family dinner. Act appropriately devastated. While you do what? While I finish connecting the dots. He gathered the documents. Give me 48 hours. By then, we'll have enough to bury them all. I sank back into my chair, mind racing. What if they run before then? They won't, he sounded certain. Autumn's too invested in watching you suffer. Josiah won't leave without the rest of the money. And Claire? He paused. Claire's not actually pregnant. The laugh that escaped me was more like a sob. Of course she's not. One more thing. Grayson pulled out a final document. Found this in the firm's records. 2 years ago, Autumn tried to access your trust fund herself, claiming to be you. The bank caught it, but Josiah buried the report. My fingers traced the failed transaction attempt. She's been after my money since before I even met Josiah. Now you know who your real enemy is. He stood up. Question is, what are you going to do about it? I looked at my phone, at Eliza's worried text, at Autumn's fake concern, at the life I thought I knew unraveling thread by thread. I'm going to family dinner, I said finally. I'm going to let my sister-in-law comfort me, let her think she's won. I met Grayson's eyes. And then I'm going to take everything from her, just like she tried to take everything from me. 48 hours, he reminded me. I nodded, gathering my purse. 2 days of playing the victim, of letting Autumn think she'd broken me. I could do that. After all, I'd learned from the best how to hide my true intentions behind a smile. Autumn's dining room looked exactly the same. Family photos on the walls, the gentle clink of wine glasses, the perfect table setting. But now I saw the calculation behind every detail. The empty chair where Josiah should have sat, the way she'd seated me facing the wedding photo she hadn't taken down yet. More wine, Melina? Her smile was sympathetic, practiced. You've barely touched your food. I'm not very hungry. I forced my voice to crack slightly. Everything still tastes like ash. Eliza squeezed my hand under the table. My sister's presence was both comfort and torture, knowing what they'd planned for her, what they still might do. You'll get through this, Autumn said, reaching across to pat my arm. We're all here for you. My phone buzzed. Grayson, document secured. Meeting tomorrow, 9 a.m. Actually, I set down my fork, letting tears fill my eyes. I think I need some air. Excuse me. I fled to the bathroom, counting Autumn's footsteps behind me. 3, 2, 1. Melina? Her knock was gentle. Let me in, sweetie. Let's talk. I opened the door, face carefully tear-streaked. I'm sorry, it's just being here, seeing our photos. Oh, honey. She pulled me into a hug. Over her shoulder, I saw her phone on the counter, unlocked. Why don't you lie down in the guest room? I'll make you some tea. That would be nice. I sniffled convincingly. Could you tell Eliza I'll be out in a minute? Of course. She squeezed my shoulders and left, leaving her phone behind. My fingers flew across the screen, forwarding her recent messages to myself. There, conversations with Claire about bank transfers, screenshots of my trust fund balance, and something else, a photo of documents from my father's estate. My heart stopped. The timestamp was from this morning. Find what you're looking for? I whirled around. Autumn stood in the doorway, her mask of concern replaced by something colder. I was just looking through my phone? Amateur move, Melina. She stepped closer. Did you really think I'd leave it unlocked by accident? The air left my lungs. How long have you known? That you were playing us? Her laugh was soft. Since the beginning, the devastated ex-fiancé act? Please, I taught you everything you know about manipulation. Not everything. I held up my phone, showing her the forwarded messages. Like how you've been accessing my father's estate documents. Want to explain that? Something flickered in her eyes. You should have left it alone, Melina. The trust fund was nothing compared to what's really at stake. What's that supposed to mean? It means your father didn't die from a heart attack. She smiled, and it was terrible. He was getting too close to something at the firm, something that would have ruined a lot of people, including your precious mentor, Lionel. The world tilted. You're lying. Am I? Ask Grayson about October 15th, 5 years ago. Ask him where he really was the night your father died. Stop it. My voice shook. Just stop. You thought this was about money? About Josiah? She laughed again. Oh, sweetie, you're just like your father, so focused on what's right in front of you that you miss the bigger picture. Footsteps in the hall. Eliza coming to check on us. Autumn's face shifted instantly back to concern. Feel better? She called loudly. The tea's ready whenever you are. I stared at her, seeing clearly for the first time the depth of her performance. Every smile, every sympathetic touch, every moment of our relationship had been carefully crafted. I'm fine, I called back to Eliza. Be right there. Autumn moved to leave, then paused. One more thing. That meeting tomorrow with Grayson? Don't bother. He won't be there. What did you do? Nothing yet. Her voice dropped to a whisper. But if you push this, if you don't back off right now, what happened to your father might look like an accident. What happens to Eliza won't. She walked out, leaving me gripping the sink, my reflection pale in the mirror. My phone buzzed again, another message from Grayson. Something's wrong. Don't trust anyone. Meet me tonight instead. I stared at the message, Autumn's words echoing in my head. October 15th, the night my father died. With trembling fingers, I typed, "Where were you that night, Grayson?" His response came instantly. I was hoping you'd ask that question, because the answer changes everything. I closed my eyes, listening to the sounds of normal life continuing in the dining room. Eliza's laugh, the clink of dishes, Autumn playing her part perfectly. The game I thought I was playing had just become something much darker, and I was no longer sure who was really pulling the strings. The parking garage was deserted at midnight, my footsteps echoing between concrete pillars. Grayson stood near his car, hands visible, eyes alert. He looked older than he had this morning, worn down by whatever truth he carried. "Did anyone follow you?" he asked as I approached. "No, but Autumn knows about this meeting." "Of course she does." He opened his car door, pulling out a thick file. "Because Lionel told her." The betrayal hit like a physical blow. "What? Your mentor, your father's friend, the man you trusted?" Grayson's voice was gentle. "He's been working with them from the beginning." "Prove it." He handed me the file. Inside were surveillance photos spanning years. Lionel meeting with Autumn in hidden places, exchanging documents, orchestrating the long game that had destroyed my life. "The night your father died," Grayson said quietly, "he'd discovered irregularities in the firm's accounts, not just recent ones, patterns going back decades. He called me for help investigating. My hands shook as I turned pages. You were working together?" "I was an FBI informant." He showed me his credentials. "Your father and I were building a case against a massive fraud operation. Lionel was at the center of it. But Autumn said you were there that night?" "I was, watching from my car when Lionel entered your father's office." His eyes met mine. 15 minutes later, your father had his heart attack. Bile rose in my throat. "Why didn't you stop it?" "Because I didn't know what Lionel was planning. By the time I realized..." He stopped, jaw tight. "I've spent 5 years trying to finish what your father started. Getting close to Josiah, tracking the money, waiting for them to make a mistake. And I was the mistake." The realization was bitter. "My trust fund? The wedding, it gave you the paper trail you needed. I'm sorry. He touched my arm. I wanted to warn you, but you needed me to play my part. I jerked away. Just like everyone else. No. His voice sharpened. I needed you to survive. Why do you think I reached out when I did? Autumn wasn't just going to take your money, Melina. Once you served your purpose, once Eliza processed those final transfers, they would have killed me too. The words felt numb on my tongue. Made it look like suicide after my fiancé left me. Exactly. He checked his watch. We don't have much time. Lionel's planning to move the last of the money tomorrow. Once it's gone, my phone rang, Eliza's ringtone. When I answered, her voice was terrified. Mel, someone's in my apartment. I think, oh God. The line went dead. We have to go, I said, already running to my car. They're going after Eliza. Wait! Grayson caught up. It's probably a trap. I don't care. I unlocked my door. She's my sister. Then let me help. He pulled out his phone. I can have FBI agents there in 10 minutes. She might not have 10 minutes. I started the engine. Are you coming or not? He hesitated for a split second, then jumped in. Your sister's complex is on Wilson Street, right? Take Montgomery, it's faster. As we sped through empty streets, my mind raced. If Lionel's involved, everything makes sense. The way Autumn knew about Dad's estate documents, how they always stayed one step ahead. Focus, Grayson said sharply. What's the layout of Eliza's building? Security cameras, entry points. Parking garage has cameras, but the back stairwell doesn't. Second floor, apartment 2C. My knuckles were white on the steering wheel. Card entry at the main door, but the garage gate's been broken all week. Good, Will. My phone buzzed. A text from Autumn. Should have backed off when I warned you. Whatever happens to Eliza now is your fault. Attached was a photo. Eliza tied to a chair. Lionel standing behind her with one hand on her shoulder. The timestamp showed it was taken 2 minutes ago. She's still alive. Grayson studied the image. They want something. They want me to stop digging. I took the next turn too fast. But they forgot something important. What's that? I pulled into Eliza's complex, killing the headlights. They taught me how to play their game, how to smile while plotting revenge, how to make people trust you right up until the moment you destroy them. Melina? His voice held a warning. You want your evidence for the FBI? I checked my phone one last time. A message sent to myself earlier from Autumn's phone, still unread. Let's give them exactly what they want. A desperate woman making one last fatal mistake. Because that's what they expected. The grieving ex-fiancé, pushed too far, coming to her sister's rescue without a plan. They'd never suspect I'd learned from the best how to hide a knife behind a breaking heart. Ready? I asked Grayson. He nodded, drawing his weapon. Just remember, whatever happens up there, don't let them see what's really coming. I smiled, and it felt like Autumn's smile, like Lionel's smile, like every false promise they'd ever made. Don't worry, I said. They taught me that too. The back stairwell was dark, our footsteps whisper quiet on concrete. Second floor, apartment 2C. My sister was behind that door, and with her, the architects of my destruction. Remember, Grayson breathed, we need them talking. Get them to admit. I know. My hand brushed the phone in my pocket, already recording. Play the desperate sister. Make them explain themselves. He squeezed my shoulder once, then melted into the shadows beside the stairwell. I faced the door alone, heart thundering, and knocked. Autumn opened it, concern painted perfectly across her features. Melina, what are you doing here? Where's my sister? I pushed past her into the apartment, letting my voice crack with fear. Eliza, she's fine. Lionel stepped out of the bedroom, his familiar fatherly smile twisting my stomach. just helping us finish some business. Right, Eliza? My sister sat rigid in a dining chair, hands bound behind her back. Her eyes met mine, not fearful, but angry. They hadn't broken her. Let her go, I said. Whatever this is about, she's innocent. Innocent? Autumn laughed. She's been investigating the accounts, getting too close, just like your father. Our father, I corrected quietly. He was your father too, wasn't he? That's what I found in those estate documents on your phone. The affair, the secret adoption. That's why you hated me so much. Her smile faltered. Clever girl, finally figured it out? Not everything. I moved closer to Eliza. Like why Lionel helped you destroy my life when he was supposedly Dad's best friend. Because your father was a fool, Lionel said, his mask dropping completely. 20 years I spent building this operation. 20 years of perfect crimes, untraceable transfers. Then he started asking questions. So you killed him. The words tasted like acid. Made it look like a heart attack. I gave him a chance to walk away. Lionel's voice hardened. He chose wrong, just like you're choosing wrong right now. Am I? I pulled out my phone, showing them the screen. Because I just forwarded everything from Autumn's phone to the FBI. Bank records, conversations, proof of what really happened to Dad. It's over. Autumn moved faster than I expected, grabbing my hair and pressing something cold against my neck. A knife. Delete it, she hissed. Now. Can't. I met Lionel's eyes. Dead man's switch. If anything happens to me or Eliza, it all goes public automatically. She's bluffing, Autumn said, but uncertainty crept into her voice. Maybe. I smiled, feeling the blade bite deeper. Want to risk everything to find out? Because I've got nothing left to lose. You made sure of that. We could still work something out, Lionel offered smoothly. Money, a fresh start somewhere else. Nobody else has to die tonight. Like you worked things out with Dad? Eliza spoke for the first time, her voice steel. I saw the real autopsy report, Lionel, the one you buried. The poison was subtle, but it was there. His face changed. How did you access the sealed records? She laughed bitterly. I'm not just some bank clerk. I'm my father's daughter, and I've been building this case longer than you know. Understanding dawned in his eyes. You were working with Grayson. For 2 years, she met my gaze. I'm sorry, Mel. We couldn't tell you. Had to let them think they were winning. Sweet family reunion, Autumn snarled, pressing the knife harder. But it doesn't change anything. Delete those files or... The lights went out. In the darkness, several things happened at once. I drove my elbow back into Autumn's solar plexus. Eliza's chair clattered over. Lionel shouted. A gun fired. When the lights flickered back on, Grayson stood in the doorway, weapon trained on Lionel. 2 FBI agents flanked him. Autumn lay groaning on the floor, my knee in her back as I gripped her wrist, forcing her to release the knife. Melina Baker? One agent stepped forward. We've got your statement recorded. You can let her up now. I stood slowly, watching Autumn's face as the handcuffs clicked around her wrists. All her masks were gone, leaving only raw hatred. You really should have checked your phone's backup settings, I told her quietly. Dad taught me about digital security when I was 12. All those incriminating messages you deleted, they went straight to my private server. You played us, Lionel said, something like respect in his voice as he too was cuffed. Made us think we were winning until the very end. No. I helped Eliza up, hugging her fiercely. You played yourselves, got so caught up in your perfect plan that you forgot the most important thing. What's that? Autumn spat as they led her away. I looked at my sister, at Grayson, at the family I'd chosen rather than the one that had betrayed me. That real love, I said, The kind that makes you strong instead of weak. It's the one thing you can't fake. Through the window, red and blue lights painted the night. Somewhere, Dad was smiling. Justice had finally come home. Dawn painted the interrogation room windows as I watched Autumn through the one-way glass. She sat perfectly straight, her mask finally cracking around the edges, still beautiful, still poised, but no longer in control. "Ready?" Grayson asked quietly. I nodded, gripping the file in my hands. Not the FBI's evidence. That was already processed, sealed, headed for prosecution. This was personal. The door clicked shut behind me as I sat across from her. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. "Come to gloat?" she finally asked. "No." I opened the file, sliding a photo across the table. "Come to return something." She flinched. The picture showed a much younger version of our father, holding a baby, her. On the back, his handwriting, "My beautiful surprise, my second chance." "Where did you get this?" "Dad's safety deposit box, the one you couldn't access." I pulled out more photos, more letters. "He kept everything, Autumn. Every birthday card you sent before the adoption. Every school photo your mom allowed him to have." Her hands trembled as she touched the papers. "He gave me up, chose his perfect family instead. No, your mother took you away. Threatened to expose the affair unless he stayed gone." I watched her face carefully. "But he never stopped loving you, never stopped trying to protect you." "Protect me?" She laughed bitterly. "He was going to destroy everything, the firm, the accounts, because he discovered Lionel was stealing from you too." I slid another document across, bank statements, transfer records. "Your trust fund, the one your mother set up? Lionel emptied it years ago. Dad was trying to get it back." The color drained from her face. "You're lying. Check the dates, the transfers, the account numbers." My voice softened. "He died trying to save both his daughters." Silence stretched between us, heavy with 2 decades of manufactured hate. "Why are you showing me this?" she whispered. "Because I need you to understand something." I leaned forward. What happened to us? The lies, the manipulation, the betrayal. That was Lionel. Not Dad, not me, and not you, originally. Originally? The first time you reached out to me, at that coffee shop 3 years ago? That was real, wasn't it? You wanted to know your sister. She looked away, but not before I saw tears threatening. "It doesn't matter now. It matters." I stood up, gathering the photos. "Because Dad believed in second chances, in redemption, even for people who've lost their way. I tried to destroy you," she said flatly. "Helped kill our father. Some things don't deserve redemption." "Maybe not." I moved to the door, then paused. "But some things deserve truth, the full truth." "What do you mean?" "Check the last page of that file. Dad left letters for both of us. I've had mine for years." I met her eyes. "It's time you read yours." I left her there with shaking hands and tears finally falling, the weight of truth heavier than any revenge could be. Eliza waited in the hallway, arms crossed. "Think she'll do the right thing?" "You mean testify against Lionel? Give back the money?" I shrugged. "Maybe, maybe not. But at least now she'll choose for herself." "And if she chooses wrong? Then we'll handle it." I linked my arm through hers. "Together this time. No more secrets." "Speaking of secrets," she grinned suddenly. "Grayson's been asking about you." "Don't start." "I'm just saying, for an FBI agent, he's pretty obvious about his feelings." "I'm done with obvious." I smiled, thinking of the quiet moments during the investigation, the way he'd looked at me when he thought I wasn't watching. "I prefer honest." Outside, the morning sun warmed my face. My phone buzzed, a message from the estate lawyer. Dad's cases were being reopened, his reputation restored. Justice, finally wearing his name proudly. Want to get breakfast? Eliza asked. I know a place. Actually, I looked at the file in my hands, at the sister who'd stood beside me, at the future stretching unmarked before us. I want to go home, see those old videos of Dad, remember who we were before all this. Before the lies? Before we learned to tell them. I squeezed her hand. Sometimes you have to get lost in the dark to recognize what's true. We walked to my car together, leaving behind the shadows of what was for the promise of what could be. Autumn had taught me how to wear masks, how to hide behind perfect smiles and calculated words. But Dad, he taught me something far more powerful, how to take them off. And in the end, that made all the difference.
The champagne bubbles in my stomach have turned to acid. I'm standing here in a $20,000 dress, staring at an empty church, while my sister is probably somewhere over the Atlantic with my fiancé. 342 guests are whispering behind me. I know the exact count because I agonized over that seating chart for weeks. Now they're all watching me crumble in real time, their pity thick enough to choke on. Riley. My best friend Zoe appears at my elbow, gripping my arm. We need to get you out of here. I can't move. The altar flowers I obsessed over, white peonies and blush roses, are starting to wilt in the June heat, just like my dignity. He's not coming, I whisper, more to myself than to her. The words taste like metal in my mouth. They're really not coming. My phone buzzes again. Probably another concerned text from a guest wondering where the groom is. Or worse, someone sending me the Instagram post. I saw it 20 minutes ago, right before I was supposed to walk down the aisle. My sister Aliyah, wrapped around Colin on a first-class flight, her caption dripping with false regret. Sometimes love doesn't care about timing. Sorry, not sorry. The memory hits me like a physical blow, and suddenly I'm grateful for Zoe's grip on my arm. My knees feel liquid. I need... The words catch in my throat. What do I need? My sister back? My fiancé to choose me? The last 6 months of my life to be something other than an elaborate lie? You need to hold it together for 5 more minutes. Zoe whispers fiercely. Just until we get you somewhere private. Don't let them see you break. She's right. I force my spine straight, channeling every society event my mother dragged me to. Smile pleasant, eyes empty, like I'm at another charity gala pretending to care about endangered butterflies. Ladies and gentlemen, my voice carries across the hushed church, steady despite the earthquake in my chest. I regret to inform you that today's ceremony is canceled. Please enjoy the reception without us. The food and wine are already paid for. A few nervous laughs, more whispers. Someone starts to applaud, then thinks better of it. Zoe steers me toward the side door, my train gathering dust from the ancient church floor. We're almost there when my phone rings. Not a text this time. The screen shows my mother's face. Don't answer it, Zoe warns. I click accept anyway. Mom? Riley, darling. Her voice is careful, practiced. I've just heard from Aliyah. Of course she has. Of course my sister called our mother before my wedding day imploded. And? She says she and Colin have been seeing each other since Christmas. She claims they tried to fight it, but... Christmas. 6 months ago. When Aliyah helped me pick out my wedding dress, the memory of that day crashes over me. Her tears as I stepped out in the winning gown, how she hugged me and said I was the most beautiful bride she'd ever seen, all while she was sleeping with my fiancé. Riley? My mother's voice seems to come from very far away. There's something else. Several people knew. They thought it would be kinder to let you find out after... The phone slips from my numb fingers. Zoe catches it, ends the call. How many? I ask her. How many people knew? She won't meet my eyes. That's answer enough. We reach the bridal suite, the room where I spent this morning getting ready, letting my sister do my makeup because she insisted. Had she been texting him then? Planning their escape while painting my face? I catch my reflection in the full-length mirror. I look like a stranger, some fairy tale princess who took a wrong turn into reality. My sister's artistry is still perfect on my face. The thought makes me want to claw my skin off. I need to get out of this dress, I say. Zoe starts working on the buttons. We'll go to my place, open some wine, figure out next steps. Next steps? A laugh bubbles up, ugly and raw. What's the protocol when your sister and fiancé become international fugitives of love? First step is surviving today. Zoe's voice is firm. Second step is making them regret ever thinking they could do this to you. The dress pulls at my feet like shed skin. In my slip, I feel smaller but somehow stronger. The acid in my stomach has hardened into something else. Something sharp and cold and purposeful. My phone buzzes again. This time it's an email from an unknown address. The subject line makes my heart stop. Your sister's long game. You deserve to know the truth. I look at Zoe, whose face has gone pale, reading over my shoulder. Maybe surviving today isn't enough, I say quietly. Maybe we need to think bigger. The email sits unopened in my inbox, a digital grenade waiting to detonate. I've been staring at it for hours in Zoe's guest room, surrounded by the ruins of what should have been my wedding night. My phone keeps lighting up with notifications. I've muted everything except texts from Zoe, who's in the kitchen stress baking something that smells like cinnamon. The rest of the world can wait. The mystery sender's address is just numbers and letters. Probably a burner account. Smart. The subject line pulses like a warning. Your sister's long game. You deserve to know the truth. I click. Riley, I worked with Aaliyah at Maxwell Corp last year. What happened today wasn't spontaneous. She's been planning this since before Colin proposed. I have proof. If you want to know more, meet me at Cafe Luna tomorrow at 2 p.m. Come alone. Z. My hands shake as I read it again. And again. The words blur together, but one phrase keeps cutting through. Before Colin proposed. A sound escapes me. Something between a laugh and a sob. Zoe appears in the doorway, holding a plate of snickerdoodles. What is it? She asks, then sees my face. Oh God, what now? I turn the phone toward her. She reads quickly, lips pressing into a thin line. It could be fake, she says carefully. Someone trying to make things worse. How could things possibly be worse? I stand up, needing to move. The borrowed t-shirt and shorts from Zoe feel wrong on my skin, like I'm playing dress-up in someone else's life. My sister and fiancé are probably in Paris by now, drinking champagne and laughing about how they fooled everyone. What could be worse than that? Finding out it was premeditated? Zoe sets down the cookies. Riley, think about what this means. If it's true, my sister watched me plan an entire wedding knowing she was going to destroy it. The words taste like poison. She helped pick centerpieces and sample cakes and arrange seating charts, all while... My voice cracks. Zoe reaches for me, but I step back. I need air. Outside, the summer night is thick with humidity. I walk aimlessly through Zoe's neighborhood, past houses where normal people are living normal lives. A couple argues about taking out trash. Kids chase fireflies. A dog barks at nothing. My phone buzzes. A text from my mother. Aaliyah says she'll call tomorrow to explain everything. Please be open to hearing her side. Her side? Like there could be any explanation that would make this okay? I'm about to throw my phone into someone's rosebush when another text comes through. Unknown number. Riley, it's Zuriel from the wedding. I know we've never really talked, but I saw what happened today. I have some information you might want. Call me if you want to discuss. Zuriel, Colin's boss at the investment firm. I met her exactly twice. Once at the company Christmas party, and again when she RSVP'd to the wedding. Both times she seemed watchful, like she knew something I didn't. Before I can overthink it, I hit call. Riley. Her voice is crisp, professional. I wasn't sure you'd reach out. You said you have information. I do, but first, have you checked your joint accounts with Colin? My stomach drops. No, Do it now. I'll wait. Hands trembling, I open my banking app. The joint account we opened for wedding expenses shows a balance of $47.13. Last week, it held over $50,000. He cleaned it out. I whisper. Yesterday morning. Zuriel confirms. He also accessed several sensitive client files before leaving, files he shouldn't have had access to in the first place. The implications hit me slowly, then all at once. Are you saying... I'm saying your fiancé didn't just leave you at the altar. He committed corporate espionage. And your sister, as our former marketing director, helped him do it. The world tilts sideways. I grab a nearby fence for support. Why are you telling me this? Because I believe in karma. Zuriel's voice hardens. And because I've been where you are. Different circumstances, same betrayal. I rebuilt myself. You can too. How? Meet me for lunch tomorrow. We'll discuss strategy. I think of the mystery email about meeting at Cafe Luna. 2 separate people reaching out with information. This can't be coincidence. I need to think about it, I say. Don't think too long. The window for action is small and your sister's long game isn't finished yet. The call ends. I stand there in the dark, my mind racing. Zuriel's words echo in my head. The window for action is small. My phone buzzes one final time. Zoe. Found something in your wedding dress pocket. Get back here now. I start running. I'm sitting in Cafe Luna at 1:55 p.m., ignoring Zoe's texts, begging me not to do this alone. The note she found in my wedding dress pocket burns in my bag. A handwritten confession from Colin about choosing happiness with my sister. As if happiness was a limited resource he had to steal from me. My meeting with Zuriel isn't until 4. First, I need to know what Z from the email has to say. The cafe is half empty, sunlight streaming through industrial windows. I chose a corner table with clear sightlines to both exits. Paranoid? Maybe, but I'm done being blindsided. At exactly 2, a woman in a charcoal pantsuit approaches. Riley? I nod, studying her face for any hint of recognition. Nothing. I'm Zara. She sits, placing a manila envelope between us. I handled accounts at Maxwell Corp while your sister was there. What's in the envelope? Emails, meeting recordings, proof that Aaliyah orchestrated this whole thing. She taps the envelope, including how she manipulated her way into Colin's department despite being underqualified. My throat tightens. Why are you showing me this? Because your sister didn't just betray you. She used company resources to do it. Expense accounts, client information, all to get closer to Colin. Zara leans forward. She's smart, calculated. Everything was documented because she never thought anyone would look. But you did. I noticed discrepancies, started keeping records. Then yesterday. She gestures vaguely. Well, I open the envelope with shaking hands. The first email is dated 8 months ago. Aaliyah requesting a transfer to Colin's department. The next shows her expense reports, business lunches, late-night strategy sessions. All with him. There's more, Zara says quietly. But you should know, she's planning something bigger. The wedding was just phase 1. Ice spreads through my chest. What do you mean? Your sister didn't just want Colin. She wanted his client list, his connections. They're planning to start their own firm using stolen information. The cafe suddenly feels too small, too exposed. Why tell me this? Why not go to the police? Because corporate theft is hard to prove, but personal betrayal? Zara's eyes gleam. That's where you come in. You have access to things I don't. Family accounts, shared history. Things that could stop them before the cafe door chimes. Zara goes rigid, staring past me. We need to go, now. What? Nora's here. At my blank look, she adds, your sister's former boss. If she sees us together? Understanding hits like a slap. Of course Aaliyah would have allies watching me. Of course this wasn't going to be simple. We slip out the back exit, emerging into an alley. Zara hands me a business card. Call this number when you're ready to move forward. But be careful who you trust. Your sister has eyes everywhere. She disappears around the corner, leaving me clutching the envelope and card. My phone shows 3 missed calls from Zoe and a text from Zuriel. Meeting location changed. Come to Maxwell Corp instead. 4 p.m. Maxwell Corp, where Aaliyah worked. Where this all started. I flag down a cab, mind racing. The envelope feels heavy with possibilities and dangers. I think of Colin's note. Choosing happiness. Was that part of the script too? Every memory feels tainted now. Suspect. The cab driver clears his throat. Miss, we're here. Maxwell Corp towers above me, all glass and steel. As I approach the entrance, my phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. Walking into a trap, sis. But then, you always did trust too easily. My hands go cold. But before I can retreat, Zuriel appears in the lobby. Riley, right on time. She studies my face. You look like you've seen a ghost. I show her the text. Her expression hardens. Come up to my office. There's something you need to see. The elevator ride is silent. Zuriel's office occupies a corner of the 47th floor with views that would normally take my breath away. Today, I barely notice. Before we start, Zuriel says, closing her door, I should tell you, I know about your meeting with Zara. My pulse spikes. How? Because I sent her. She holds up a hand as I start to speak. Everything she told you is true, but it's not the whole truth. She turns her computer monitor toward me. On screen is an email chain between Aaliyah and Colin, dated 3 days ago. Your sister didn't just steal corporate secrets, Zuriel says quietly. She stole something much more valuable, something that could destroy this company, and everyone connected to it. The subject line makes my blood run cold. Project Phoenix, final phase ready. Project Phoenix isn't just corporate espionage, it's a complete takeover plan. I stare at the emails, my sister's calculated betrayal laid bare in bullet points and action items. She wasn't just stealing clients. She was systematically dismantling Zuriel's company from the inside. Why show me this? I ask, finally looking up from the screen. Zuriel's lips curve. Because you're the key to stopping them. They've planned for every contingency except you, the jilted bride who's supposed to be too devastated to function. I am devastated. The words come out sharper than intended. Good. Channel that. She slides a folder across her desk. Your sister's not the only one who can play the long game. Inside are incorporation papers for a new company. At the top, Phoenix Rising Investments. You want me to start a competing firm? I almost laugh. I'm a graphic designer, not a financial expert. You're also the only person who knows how Aaliyah thinks, how she operates. Zuriel leans forward. I'll provide the expertise and backing. You provide the insight we need to beat her at her own game. My phone buzzes. Zoe again. I silence it, guilt twisting in my stomach. She's been trying to reach me all day. I need time to think. I tell Zuriel. You have until tomorrow morning. After that, your sister's plan goes into motion. She stands. Don't let her underestimate you again, Riley. Outside, the summer evening has turned stormy. I duck into a coffee shop just as rain starts hammering the sidewalk. The barista takes one look at my face and adds an extra shot to my latte without charging. Rough day? I turn to find a man in a well-cut suit watching me with concern. Something about his eyes seems familiar. Talon, he says, extending his hand. I was at your event yesterday. Friend of Colin's from business school. My chest tightens. If you're here to defend him. God, no. He looks genuinely appalled. I came to apologize. I knew something was off with him lately, but I never imagined. He trails off. Anyway, I quit the firm this morning. Couldn't stomach working there after what they did. Lightning flashes outside, illuminating his face. He's handsome in a quiet way. Nothing like Colin's practiced charm. Why are you really here? I ask. because I have information that might help you, but... He glances around the coffee shop. Not here. Of course. Another mysterious meeting. Another person with secrets to share. But something about Talon feels different. More genuine than Zara's rehearsed revelations. There's a restaurant around the corner, he suggests. More private. I should say no. Should call Zoe back. Process everything I've learned today. Instead, I hear myself say, lead the way. The restaurant is dimly lit, mostly empty. Talon orders wine and waits until the server leaves before speaking. Colin came to me last week, trying to recruit me for some new venture. Wouldn't give details, but he was excited. Manic almost. Talon swirls his wine. Then I overheard him on the phone with Aaliyah, discussing something called Phoenix. What exactly did you hear? Enough to know they're not just stealing clients. They're stealing identities. Using personal information from high-net-worth accounts to... He lowers his voice. Well, it's not legal. Or ethical. My hand shakes as I reach for my glass. That's why they needed the wedding. To access my family's accounts. Your father's investment portfolio alone? Talon grimaces. Let's just say it would fund quite a startup. The wine turns sour in my mouth. I think of my father's pride when Colin joined his firm, how he treated him like a son. Another relationship Aaliyah poisoned. Why tell me this? Because what they're doing is wrong. And because... Talon meets my eyes. I've seen how Colin operates. He'll destroy anyone who threatens his plans, including you. My phone lights up with a text from Zuriel. Decision time. Meeting tomorrow, 9 a.m. Bring your answer. Thunder crashes outside. Talon watches me read the message, something like understanding crossing his face. Whatever you're planning, he says quietly. Be careful. Your sister isn't working alone. There are bigger players involved. Like who? He opens his mouth to answer just as my phone rings. Zoe's number. This time I answer. Her voice is breathless, panicked. Riley, where are you? Someone broke into my apartment. They took your wedding dress, all the cards, everything from yesterday. And they left a message. What message? On your dress, in red ink. She pauses. It says, back off while you still can, little sister. I meet Talon's concerned gaze across the table. I'll be right there. Hanging up, I make my decision. Tomorrow morning, I tell him, I'm going to war with my sister. Are you in or out? His answer changes everything. I'm in, Talon had said. But there's something you need to know first. Those words echo in my head as I stand in Zuriel's office at 8:57 a.m., watching her review my counter-proposal. Outside, the city sparkles like nothing has changed. Like my world hasn't shifted on its axis 3 times in the past 12 hours. This is ambitious. Zuriel says finally, looking up from the papers. It has to be. My voice is steady despite my racing heart. Aaliyah won't expect me to move this fast or think this big. Speaking of unexpected moves, she taps her screen. Care to explain why Talon quit his position last night only to apply here this morning? I meet her gaze. Because he knows things about Project Phoenix that could help us. And because he's the only person from Colin's inner circle who had the decency to warn me. Warn you about what? Before I can answer, my phone buzzes. The image makes my blood freeze. My wedding dress spread across Zoe's apartment floor. That threatening message now joined by photographs. Dozens of them, scattered like fallen leaves. Photos of me and Colin, me and Aaliyah, all defaced with red ink. Riley? Zuriel's voice seems distant. They broke in again. My fingers tremble as I show her. They're watching us. All of us. Good. At my startled look, she continues. It means they're scared. You're already disrupting their timeline. Or they're trying to scare me off before... I stop, remembering Talon's revelation from last night. Before what? The office door opens before I can respond. Nora strides in, impeccable in a steel gray suit. Sorry I'm late, she says, not sounding sorry at all. Traffic was murder. My pulse spikes. Nora, Aaliyah's former boss, the woman from the cafe yesterday. What is she doing here? Riley was just walking me through her proposal. Zuriel says smoothly. Care to weigh in? Nora's smile doesn't reach her eyes. Of course. Though I'm surprised you're moving forward given the complications. What complications? I keep my voice neutral, remembering Talon's words. Nora isn't just Aaliyah's mentor. She's the architect of Project Phoenix. Your sister's just the face of it. Your sister called this morning, Nora says. She's very concerned about your well-being. Thinks you might be making rash decisions while emotionally compromised. Did she mention how she compromised me? The words taste like metal. Or did that part slip her mind? Family dynamics are complicated. Nora waves dismissively. The point is, starting a competing firm now could seem vindictive. It might damage your reputation. My reputation? I laugh, the sound sharp enough to make both women flinch. My sister and fiancé destroyed my wedding, stole my family's financial information, and are currently breaking into my friend's apartment to threaten me. I think my reputation can handle a little competition. Nora's facade cracks slightly. How did you know about the financial theft? I pull out my phone, click play on the recording Talon made last week. Colin's voice fills the room, discussing account numbers and access codes with Aaliyah. The color drains from Nora's face. That's inadmissible, she says quickly, recorded without consent. Maybe in court? I agree. But the court of public opinion? They'll eat this up, especially when they learn who really orchestrated everything. Zuriel watches this exchange with growing interest. Nora, something you want to share? But Nora is already heading for the door. This meeting is over. And Riley? She turns back, mask completely gone. You have no idea what you're playing with. Back off while you still can. The same words from my wedding dress. My hands curl into fists. After she leaves, Zuriel lets out a low whistle. Well, that was illuminating. It gets worse. I show her the rest of what Talon revealed. Documents proving Nora's involvement in multiple identity theft schemes, with Aaliyah and Colin as her newest pawns. My sister thinks she's the mastermind, I say quietly. She has no idea she's being played too. And you want to warn her? No. The answer surprises me with its certainty. I want to beat them all at their own game. But I need your help. Zuriel studies me for a long moment. You understand there's no going back? Once we move forward, your relationship with Aaliyah. She killed that relationship the moment she chose this over me. My voice catches. Besides, she's not the only one who can play the long game. My phone buzzes again. Another photo from Zoe's apartment. This time it's a close-up of my wedding dress, where someone has pinned a note. Final warning, little sister, don't make us show you how much worse this can get. I turn the phone toward Zuriel. Still think I'm moving too fast? Her smile is razor sharp. Actually, I think it's time we moved faster. 3 days. That's how long it takes to dismantle someone's life if you know where to push. Zuriel and I have been working around the clock, setting our plan in motion. My hands shake from too much coffee and too little sleep. But I can't stop now. They've taken the bait, Talon announces, striding into our makeshift war room, a converted conference space at Zuriel's firm. Nora's calling an emergency board meeting for tomorrow. I study the timeline we've created on the wall. Photos, documents, connections, all leading to this moment. And Aaliyah? Still in Paris. He hesitates. But she's been making calls. Lots of them. Of course she has. By now, she's discovered her access to certain accounts has been revoked. Probably noticed the irregularities we planted in her financial records, too. Small things, but enough to make someone nervous. My phone lights up. A text from my mother. Aaliyah's hysterical. Says you're trying to ruin her. Please stop this vendetta before someone gets hurt. Vendetta. Like I'm the villain here. Riley. Zoe appears with fresh coffee. Your hands are shaking. I'm fine. You're not fine. None of this is fine. She sets the coffee down harder than necessary. You haven't slept properly in days. You're jumping at shadows. And now you're talking about exposing corporate fraud at tomorrow's meeting? That's dangerous. Everything about this is dangerous. I gesture at the wall. They've already threatened us multiple times. What choice do I have? You could walk away, start fresh somewhere else, like my sister did? The words come out bitter. Run away with someone else's life? That's not what I... My phone rings. Unknown number. Everyone freezes. Speaker. Zuriel mouths from her desk. I answer. Hello? Hello, little sister. Aaliyah's voice fills the room, smooth as poison. We need to talk. My throat closes. This is the first time I've heard her voice since the wedding. About what? I manage. About how you're making a terrible mistake. She sighs like I'm a child throwing a tantrum. I know you're hurt, but this revenge campaign? It's beneath you. Beneath me? I laugh. Like sleeping with my fiancé was beneath you? That was different. Colin and I... Save it. My voice shakes. I know about Project Phoenix, about Nora, about all of it. Silence stretches. Then... You don't understand what you're dealing with. Actually, I do. I understand you're not in control like you think. That Nora's been playing you from the start. That everything you stole, the accounts, the client information, it's all part of her bigger plan. You're wrong. But there's a flicker of uncertainty in her voice. Check your private account, I say. The one you think no one knows about. See how much is left. The sharp intake of breath tells me she's looking. Seeing the zero balance we engineered this morning. What did you do? The same thing you did to me. I took everything. My hands stop shaking. But unlike you, I'm giving you a chance to fix this. Come to tomorrow's board meeting. Help me expose Nora. Or lose everything you thought you were gaining. You wouldn't dare. The sister you knew wouldn't, but you killed her at the altar. My voice hardens. The person you're dealing with now? She's someone else entirely. Talon moves closer, supportive but silent. Zoe looks torn between pride and horror. Riley, please. Aaliyah's voice cracks. You don't know what they'll do. Actually, I do, because they've been doing it to me all week. I think of my defaced wedding dress, the threats, the break-ins. The difference is I'm not backing down. They'll destroy you. No, I say quietly. They'll try. But I learned from the best, didn't I, big sister? You taught me everything about playing the long game. The line goes dead. Seconds later, my phone buzzes with a text from Nora. You were warned. What happens next is your fault. Almost immediately, Talon's phone chimes. His face goes pale reading the message. What is it? I ask. They're moving up their timeline. The board meeting, it's not tomorrow anymore. He shows me his screen. It's in 2 hours. Zuriel stands. Then we move up our timeline too. But we're not ready, Zoe protests. The documentation, the presentations. We have enough. I start gathering files. They're panicking. That means we're closer than we thought. My phone buzzes one final time. A message from Colin. You should have stayed down, Riley. Now everyone will see exactly what you're capable of. I stare at his words, feeling something shift inside me. He's right. They will see what I'm capable of. Just not in the way he thinks. 2 hours, I tell my team. Let's show them what happens when you underestimate the wrong sister. The Maxwell Court boardroom feels like a courtroom, all polished wood and weighted silence. I stand at the head of the table, facing down 12 board members, my hands steady on the presentation remote. Nora sits at the far end, her smile sharp as a blade. No sign of Aaliyah yet. As I was saying, Nora continues smoothly. Ms. Riley's accusations are clearly motivated by personal vengeance. Her recent and emotional upheaval has led to some concerning behavior. A few sympathetic nods from the board. They see exactly what Nora wants them to see. A jilted bride having a breakdown. Time to change that narrative. You're right about one thing, I say, clicking to the first slide. This is personal. The screen fills with transaction records, dozens of them, all showing systematic theft from client accounts. Next slide, emails between Nora and various shell companies. Then, recorded conversations, account transfers, the whole elaborate scheme laid bare. But my emotional state isn't the issue here. I meet each board member's eyes. The systematic fraud being committed under your watches. Nora's smile vanishes. These documents are clearly fabricated. The boardroom door opens. Aaliyah walks in, Colin right behind her. My sister looks exhausted, nothing like her triumphant wedding day photos. She won't meet my eyes. Perfect timing, I say. I was just getting to your part in all this. Riley, don't. Aaliyah's voice shakes. Please. Why not? Afraid they'll learn how you helped steal client information? Or how you and Colin were just pawns in Nora's bigger game? Colin steps forward. You're delusional. Actually, Talon says from the doorway. She's right. He moves to stand beside me, dropping a thick folder on the table. I have proof of everything, including your role, Colin. The board chairman leans forward. What exactly are we looking at? A 3-year scheme to steal client identities and assets, Zuriel says, entering with perfect timing. Using unwitting employees as cover. Isn't that right, Nora? Nora stands, mask cracking. This is absurd. You have no actual proof. Check your phone, I tell the board members. You just received an email with complete documentation, including recordings of Ms. Nora here planning my wedding day, humiliation as a distraction from her larger theft. Phones buzz around the table. Faces darken as they read. You recorded me? Aaliyah whispers. No. I finally look at my sister. You recorded yourself. Every meeting, every call. You documented everything to protect yourself from Nora. But you stored it all on the cloud account we've shared since college. The color drains from her face. Behind her, Colin starts edging toward the door. Don't bother. Talon calls after him. Security's waiting outside, along with some very interested FBI agents. Chaos erupts. Board members shouting questions, Nora demanding her lawyer, Colin making a break for it only to be caught by security. Through it all, Aaliyah stays frozen, staring at me. Why? She asks finally. Why not just turn us in? Why this whole elaborate plan? Because I needed to understand. My voice cracks. I needed to know if any part of our relationship was real, or if I was just another mark in your long game. Riley, was any of it real? The wedding dress shopping? The late night talks? All those years of being my big sister. Was it all just practice for manipulation? Tears spill down her cheeks. Not all of it. Not at first. Ms. Riley, the chairman interrupts. These allegations are extremely serious. We'll need you to stay and make a formal statement. I nod, not taking my eyes off Aaliyah. I know exactly what to say. You'll destroy my whole life, she whispers, like you destroyed mine. I step closer. The difference is I'm giving you a choice. Tell them everything about Nora's operation, everything. And I'll tell them you helped expose it. Or don't. And I'll bury you with the truth. She looks at me for a long moment. Really looks at me. Maybe for the first time in years. When did you get so strong? When you forced me to be. The boardroom doors open again. FBI agents enter, handcuffs ready. Nora starts yelling about her rights. Colin goes quietly, already bargaining. And Aaliyah straightens her spine, wipes her tears, and turns to the chairman. I'd like to make a full statement, she says clearly. About everything. I feel Talon's hand on my shoulder, steadying me. Across the room, Zuriel gives me a subtle nod. It's done. It's finally done. My phone buzzes one last time. A message from Zoe. You did it. Now come home and rest. Rest. The word feels foreign after so many sleepless nights of planning. But first, Chairman, I say, I believe I have a company to save. The visitor's room at the detention center smells like industrial cleaner and stale coffee. I sit across from Aliyah, studying her face through the scratched plexiglass. She looks smaller without her designer clothes and perfect makeup. The prosecutor offered me a deal, she says, picking at a loose thread on her orange sleeve. In exchange for testimony against Nora. Are you going to take it? Already did. She meets my eyes. I'm done playing games. Thanks to you, I finally understand the cost. The words hang between us, heavy with everything unsaid. Outside, a guard checks his watch. 5 minutes left. I found Mom's ring, I tell her. The one Grandma gave you for your 16th birthday. It was in the wedding dress pocket, wrapped in your confession note. Her breath catches. I couldn't keep it. Not after betraying everything it represented. She nods, tears threatening. The funny thing is, I continue, finding that ring was what made me realize you weren't completely gone. The sister I grew up with was still in there somewhere, buried under Nora's influence and your own ambition. Riley, I'm not finished. I pull out a folder. The board appointed me interim CEO yesterday. My first action was to review all personnel files. Want to know what I found? She shakes her head, but I push on. Every job you've ever had, including Maxwell Corp, you got on your own merit. Nora didn't orchestrate your hiring like she told you. Your qualifications were real. Your talent was real. Why are you telling me this? Because you didn't need to steal anything. You were already enough. The guard approaches. Time's up. Wait, Aliyah calls as I stand. The ring. What did you do with it? I touch my neck, where the ring hangs on a chain, keeping it safe. For when you remember who you really are. Outside, Talon waits by his car. You okay? No. I lean against him, letting out a shaky breath. But I will be. My phone buzzes. Zerial with updates about the company restructuring. Then Zoe reminding me about dinner. The world keeps spinning, keeps demanding attention. The board meeting's in an hour, Talon says. Ready to officially accept the CEO position? I think about Nora's corner office, now mine. About the weight of responsibility, of other people's trust. About second chances and the price of redemption. Actually, I say, I have a different idea. The boardroom feels different today. Maybe because I'm not here to tear anything down, but to build something new. Ladies and gentlemen, I begin, I'm declining the CEO position. Murmurs of surprise. Zuriel raises an eyebrow from her seat. Instead, I'm proposing a complete restructuring. New leadership, new ethical guidelines, new everything. Starting with this. I click to my presentation. On screen, Phoenix Rising Investments, rebuilding trust through transparency. The company Nora feared we'd create? Let's actually build it. But this time, let's do it right. 2 hours later, I stand at my office window, watching the city lights blink on. My phone shows missed calls from reporters, lawyers, well-wishers, and one text from an unknown number. You could have destroyed me. Thank you for showing me another way. I touch the ring at my neck, thinking of the sister who gave it to me, of the woman she became, of the person she might be again, of second chances and the courage to take them. Talon appears in my doorway. Car's here. Zoe's threatening dire consequences if we're late for dinner again. Can't keep her waiting. I gather my things, pausing at the photo I've placed on my desk. Not of my almost wedding, but of 2 young sisters sharing a swing set, laughing at some forgotten joke. You really think you can rebuild all this? Talon asks softly. No. I take his hand. I think we can build something better. Outside, the city stretches endless with possibility. Somewhere in a detention center, my sister reads through her plea deal. In boardrooms and offices, people are already whispering about Phoenix Rising's bold new direction. And here, in this moment, I feel the last pieces of my old self fall away. They say revenge is best served cold. But redemption? That burns like sunrise, warming everything it touches. I step into the elevator, ready to rise.
I pressed my ear against the cold metal door of the conference room, my heart pounding as I heard my sister's voice through the crack. Trinity's brilliant, but she's not CEO material. The company needs someone who can truly lead. The words hit me like a physical blow. My own sister, plotting to take everything I'd built. My name is Trinity, and 6 months ago, I was living my dream. I'd turned my garage coding project into a promising tech startup, bringing my sister Leila on board because that's what family does. Now I was eavesdropping outside my own conference room like some desperate spy. The board meeting's tomorrow, Leila continued. I've already spoken with most of the investors. They agree the company needs restructuring. I backed away from the door, bumping into Tabitha, my best friend and lead developer. She steadied me, concern etched across her face. You okay? You look like you've seen a ghost. Worse, I whispered, pulling her toward my office. I just heard Leila planning a hostile takeover. Tabitha's eyes widened. That's impossible. She's your sister. I sank into my chair, memories flooding back. Growing up in our cramped Bronx apartment, Leila had always been the charming one, the one who could talk her way out of anything. I was the quiet kid coding in the corner, dreaming of escape. Now, those same skills that had gotten us out were about to be used against me. Trinity, Julian, our newest investor, appeared in my doorway. Tall, polished, and carrying the kind of confidence only old money can buy. Your sister mentioned you might be free for dinner tonight to discuss the Morgan contract. I forced a smile, knowing exactly what this was. Another piece of Leila's plan. Actually, I need to finish the new security protocol tonight. Maybe next week? Julian's disappointment was visible. Leila said you might say that. She mentioned you've been distant lately. I've been busy coding the foundation of our entire platform, I said, unable to keep the edge from my voice. Someone has to do the actual work around here. After Julian left, Tabitha closed the door. What are you going to do? I turned to my computer, pulling up the company's financial reports. First, I'm going to figure out exactly what Leila's been telling the board. Then, my phone buzzed. A text from Mom. Leila says you're working too hard. Don't let ambition ruin your relationships, baby. I laughed bitterly. Even now, Mom was falling for Leila's act. Just like when we were kids, and Leila could convince her that any broken dish or missing money was my fault. You need to fight back, Tabitha said, leaning over my shoulder to look at the reports. This is your company. No, I said, an idea forming. I need to be smarter than that. Pull up the AI project we've been working on after hours. The pattern recognition algorithm? It's nowhere near ready. I started typing, my fingers flying across the keyboard. It will be. And when it is, it's going to see patterns that Leila can't hide. A knock at the door made us both jump. Leila walked in, perfect as always in her designer suit. Working late again, sis. You know, you should really let me handle more of the business side. You're so much better with the technical stuff. Our eyes met, and for a moment, I saw through her mask. The calculated ambition, the cold determination. My sister was going to try to destroy me tomorrow. You're right, I said, matching her fake smile. I should focus on what I'm good at. Leila beamed, probably thinking I was giving in. That's what I've been saying. The board meeting tomorrow will sort everything out, you'll see. After she left, Tabitha grabbed my arm. Tell me you're not giving up. I turned back to my computer, determination replacing fear. No, I'm doing exactly what she said, focusing on what I'm good at. And what I'm good at is going to expose exactly who my sister really is. The office grew quiet as night fell over the city. While Leila was probably celebrating her upcoming victory, I was laying the groundwork for her downfall. Every line of code I wrote was a promise. That talent would beat charm, that truth would beat manipulation, that the sister who built something would beat the sister trying to steal it. "You should go home," I told Tabitha around midnight. "Tomorrow's going to be intense." She squeezed my shoulder. "Want me to stay?" I shook my head. "I need to do this part alone." After she left, I stood at my office window, looking out at the city lights. Somewhere out there, our mom was probably proud that her ambitious daughter Leila was about to become CEO. She had no idea that her other daughter was about to teach everyone a lesson about underestimating the quiet one. I cracked my knuckles and sat back down at my computer. The board meeting was in 9 hours. Time to show my sister that some things can't be stolen. They have to be earned. The board meeting went exactly as Leila planned. I sat there, numb, as she masterfully presented her case for restructuring. Every weakness she pointed out was one she'd carefully engineered over the past months. Every solution she offered positioned her as the savior. "While Trinity's technical brilliance is undeniable," she said, her voice dripping with fake concern, "we need experienced leadership to take us to the next level." I opened my mouth to object, but Julian cut me off. "The numbers don't lie. Our market position has weakened considerably in the last quarter." Of course it had. Because Leila had deliberately delayed 3 major client launches I'd set up. The vote was unanimous. By noon, I was no longer CEO of the company I'd built from nothing. By 1, I'd been relegated to technical advisor, stripped of any real power. By 2, Leila had moved into my office, and I was being shifted to a smaller space down the hall. "This is temporary," Tabitha insisted, helping me pack my things. "We'll figure something out." I picked up my favorite coffee mug, the one with lines of code printed on it. "Leave it," I said, setting it back down. "I'm sure our new CEO will love it." "Trinity!" Leila's voice rang out from my former doorway, my former office, my former everything. "Can we talk privately?" Tabitha squeezed my arm before leaving. The click of the door closing felt like a jail cell locking. "I know you're upset," Leila started. "Upset?" I laughed. "Why would I be upset? You only stabbed me in the back and stole my company." "I didn't steal anything. The board voted after you spent months undermining me." I stepped closer, finally letting my anger show. "Did you think I wouldn't notice? The delayed launches, the lost contracts, the whisper campaign about my leadership?" Something flickered in Leila's eyes. Not guilt, but satisfaction. "You noticed, but you couldn't stop it. That's exactly why I'm better suited for this role. You're too naive." "Get out!" "Don't be dramatic. This is my office now." I grabbed my laptop and headed for the door. "You're right, it is your office. Enjoy it while it lasts." The next few weeks were hell. I watched as Leila paraded around like a queen, making grand promises to investors and the press. But beneath the surface, things were starting to crack. Client complaints increased. Development timelines slipped. The core technology, my technology, needed updates that only I truly understood. I worked late every night, not because Leila asked me to, but because I was building something new, something secret. "You should go home," Tabitha said one night, finding me still at my desk at 11 p.m. "You look exhausted." I shook my head, pointing to my screen. "Look at this. I found something in the financial reports." She leaned in, squinting at the numbers. "These transactions, they don't make sense." "Exactly. Money's moving around in weird patterns. But it's subtle, hidden under legitimate-looking transfers." "You think Leila's cooking the books?" I pulled up my private project, the AI I'd been developing. "I think she's doing more than that, but I need proof. That's where this comes in." Tabitha's eyes widened as she read the code. "This is way beyond what we were working on before. You've basically created a financial forensics AI." "It's not ready yet, but when it is..." The office door opened suddenly. Julian stood there, looking uncomfortable. "Trinity?" "Leila wants the quarterly tech review by morning. The review that usually takes 2 weeks to prepare? That review?" He shifted awkwardly. She says you've had plenty of time. Fine. I turned back to my screen. I'll add it to my list of impossible tasks. After he left, Tabitha sat down beside me. He knows something's wrong. I've seen him watching Leila in meetings, asking questions she can't really answer. Everyone's starting to see cracks, I said, pulling up another suspicious transaction. But seeing isn't enough. We need proof. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. Saw Leila on the business news. So proud of my girl making it big. I turned the phone face down without responding. You haven't told your mom anything, have you? Tabitha asked softly. What's to tell? That I'm such a failure I let my own sister steal my company? That everything Mom warned me about ambition ruining relationships was right, except it wasn't my ambition that did it? Tabitha grabbed my arm. Stop! You're not a failure. You're playing the long game, and you're going to win. I looked at my screen, at the patterns slowly emerging from the chaos of numbers. You know what the worst part is? Part of me still loves her. She's my sister. We survived our childhood together, but now you have to survive her. I nodded, turning back to my code. The AI was learning, growing, seeing patterns I'd only suspected. Soon it would see everything Leila was trying to hide. She thinks she won because she's smarter, I said, fingers flying across the keyboard. But she forgot one thing. What's that? I smiled grimly. In chess, the queen might be the most powerful piece, but it's the quiet pawn that can change everything. Holy shit, Tabitha whispered, staring at my screen. Trinity, are you seeing this? 3 months had passed since Leila's takeover, and my AI had finally started connecting the dots. The patterns were unmistakable. A complex web of financial transactions, each one carefully disguised, but forming a clear picture when viewed together. She's been siphoning money into offshore accounts, I said, scrolling through the data. Small amounts at first, but getting bolder. Look at this spike last week. Tabitha leaned closer. Right after the Morgan contract payment came in. But why would she? Because she knows she can't keep this up forever. I pulled up another screen. The company's fundamentals are weakening. Client satisfaction is down 40%. 3 major projects are behind schedule. She's preparing her exit strategy. The door opened, and we quickly switched screens. Julian walked in, looking more haggard than usual. Trinity, do you have a minute? Tabitha gave me a meaningful look before leaving us alone. What's wrong? I asked, though I had a pretty good idea. Julian loosened his tie. The Morgan project, it's a mess. The client's threatening to pull out. Leila keeps promising fixes, but nothing's happening. I've got millions invested in this company, and I'm starting to think. Starting to think what? He met my eyes. That I backed the wrong sister. Before I could respond, Leila's voice cut through the office. Julian, there you are! We have that dinner meeting, remember? He straightened up, professional mask back in place. Of course. Trinity, we'll continue this later. After they left, Tabitha slipped back in. Did he say what I think he said? He's starting to see through her, but we need more than suspicions. I pulled up my AI program again. We need concrete proof. Just then, my phone rang. Mom's name flashed on the screen. I almost ignored it, but something made me answer. Trinity? Baby, are you okay? Leila says you've been acting strange at work. I gripped the phone tighter. Did she tell you why? She's worried about you, says you've been distant, working odd hours. You're not still upset about the promotion, are you? Promotion? I laughed bitterly. Is that what she called it? Trinity. Mom, I have to go. I'm in the middle of something. I hung up, hands shaking. Tabitha touched my shoulder. You should tell your mom the truth. Not yet. Not until. My voice cut off as new data flashed across my screen. Wait, look at this. The AI had found something new. A pattern of deleted files, all traced back to Leila's login. But one document hadn't been completely erased. As we read it, my blood ran cold. She's planning to sell the company's core technology, Tabitha gasped, to our biggest competitor. That's why she's been moving money offshore. She's going to strip the company bare and run. I sat back, the full picture finally clear. Everything I built, she's going to destroy it all. A knock at the door made us jump. It was Julian again, but this time he looked different, determined. I left my dinner meeting early, he said, closing the door behind him. We need to talk about Leila. I studied him carefully. What about her? I've been reviewing the company's financials. Things aren't adding up. And tonight at dinner, she tried to convince me to approve a technology transfer that would essentially gut the company's IP. I glanced at my screen, then back at Julian. And what do you want me to do about it? He stepped closer. Help me stop her. I know you've been working on something. I've seen you and Tabitha here late at night. Whatever it is, if it can prove what I suspect. I shared a look with Tabitha, who nodded slightly. Sit down, I said, turning my monitor toward him. There's something you need to see. For the next hour, we showed him everything. The financial trails, the deleted files, the pattern of deception. His face grew darker with each revelation. This is incredible, he said finally. Your AI found all this? It's still learning, still finding new connections. But yes. He stood up, straightening his jacket. We need to take this to the board, immediately. Not yet, I said. We need one more piece, something even Leila can't talk her way out of. What's that? I smiled, feeling for the first time in months that I was back in control. The proof that she's planning to sell our core technology. Give me 2 days. I know exactly where to look. After Julian left, Tabitha hugged me tight. We're really doing this. Yes, I said, turning back to my computer. It's time to show my sister that some things are unforgivable. And karma's coming for her. I worked through the night, my AI searching, learning, finding. Somewhere in the building, Leila was probably sleeping peacefully, thinking she had won. But she forgot one crucial thing about me. I don't just write code. I write justice. The next morning, I arrived early to find someone waiting outside my office. Cade Johnston, one of the most respected tech veterans in the industry. My heart skipped a beat. What was he doing here? Trinity, he said, extending his hand. I've been following your work for a while. Mind if we talk? I glanced at my computer, where my AI was still running searches, then back at him. Of course, please come in. As we sat down, Leila appeared in the doorway, her face flickering with surprise, before settling into a practiced smile. Cade, I didn't know you were coming by today. This isn't an official visit, he said coolly. I'm here to speak with Trinity about her AI developments. Leila's smile tightened. As CEO, I should probably sit in. That won't be necessary, Cade cut her off. This is a technical discussion. After Leila left, clearly fuming, Cade leaned forward. Your sister's made quite a few enemies in the industry lately, especially with these rumors about selling proprietary technology. My fingers twitched toward my keyboard. What have you heard? Enough to be concerned. But that's not why I'm here. He pulled out his tablet, showing me a technical forum post. This code snippet you shared 3 months ago, it's brilliant, and I suspect it's just the surface of what you're really working on. Before I could respond, Tabitha burst in. Trinity, you need to see this. She stopped short, seeing Cade. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't. Show me, I said, nodding toward my screen. She rushed over, pulling up a series of emails my AI had uncovered. Look at this correspondence between Leila and Tech Giant's acquisition team. She's already negotiated a price for our core patents. Cade stood up, looking at the screen. This is serious. If she sells those patents, your company's finished. It's not just the patents, I said, pulling up more data. Look at these financial transfers. She's been systematically weakening the company while building her own exit strategy. How did you find all this? Cade asked, studying the patterns on screen. I hesitated, then decided to trust him. I built an AI system that can detect patterns in corporate data, financial transactions, communications, deleted files. It sees everything. His eyes widened. That's why you shared that code snippet. You were testing part of the algorithm. A knock at the door interrupted us. Julian entered, looking anxious. Trinity, we have a problem. Lila's called an emergency board meeting for tomorrow morning. What? Why? She's presenting a strategic restructuring plan. I think she's making her move. Tabitha grabbed my arm. She must know we're onto her. I turned to Cade. Why are you really here? He smiled. Because I've been watching you, Trinity, waiting to see how you'd handle this situation. You've built something remarkable, not just the AI, but the way you've approached this whole mess. The industry needs leaders like you. I'm not a leader anymore, I said bitterly. Lila made sure of that. No, he said firmly. You're exactly the kind of leader we need. Someone who builds rather than destroys. Someone who fights with intelligence rather than manipulation. Julian stepped forward. He's right, and we need to act now. The board meeting. Will be too late, I finished, an idea forming. Unless... Cade, would you be willing to help us? What do you need? I pulled up my AI's interface. How would you like to see what this system can really do? For the next few hours, we worked frantically. Cade's industry expertise helped us understand exactly what Lila was planning. Julian contacted key board members, preparing them for what was coming. Tabitha and I fine-tuned the AI, making sure every piece of evidence was irrefutable. As evening fell, Lila appeared again, her confidence clearly shaken by Cade's presence. Trinity, about tomorrow's meeting. Save it, I said, not looking up from my screen. We both know what tomorrow is about. She stepped closer, lowering her voice. You're my sister, don't forget that. I finally met her eyes. You forgot it first. After she left, Cade put a hand on my shoulder. You ready for tomorrow? I looked at my screen, where the final pieces of evidence were falling into place. I've been ready since the day she betrayed me. Julian checked his phone. Board members are confirmed for 9 a.m. No one's telling Lila they're coming early. Tabitha hugged me. We should all get some rest. Tomorrow's going to be intense. As they filed out, I stayed at my desk, watching the AI complete its final analysis. Tomorrow, Lila would walk into that boardroom thinking she was about to complete her takeover. Instead, she'd find out what happens when you underestimate the quiet one who built everything you tried to steal. Game over, sis, I whispered to my empty office. Time to face the consequences. I arrived at the office at 7 a.m., 2 hours before the board meeting. The evidence was ready, backed up in 3 different places. My hands shook slightly as I set up the presentation room. You're early, came a voice from the doorway. I turned to find Mom standing there, looking uncertain. Mom, what are you doing here? Lila called me last night, said you've been acting strange, making accusations. She's worried about you, baby. Of course she'd called Mom. One last manipulation. Did she tell you about the offshore accounts, the stolen technology, the fraud? She said you might say things like that. Mom stepped closer. Honey, maybe you need some time off. Lila says, Stop telling me what Lila says. My voice cracked. For once, just listen to me. The door opened again. Tabitha walked in, followed by Julian and Cade. Their presence gave me strength. Mrs. Murray, Cade said formally. I'm Cade Johnston. I think you should stay for this meeting. See for yourself what's really happening. Mom looked confused, but sat down. Over the next hour, board members arrived, each looking grim. At 8:55, Lila strode in, faltering slightly, when she saw the packed room. I thought the meeting was at 9, she said, trying to maintain her composure. It is, Julian replied, but we had some things to discuss first. Lila's eyes darted to Mom, then back to the board. I've prepared a comprehensive restructuring plan. Before that, I interrupted, standing up. There's something the board needs to see. I pulled up my presentation. The AI's findings filled the screen. Transaction records, deleted emails, secret negotiations with competitors. With each slide, Lila's face grew paler. These documents are fake, she tried. Trinity's obviously manipulated. The AI doesn't manipulate, Cade cut in. It finds patterns, like the pattern of you systematically weakening the company while preparing to sell its core technology. Mom gasped. Leila, what is he talking about? Don't listen to them, Mom. Trinity's just jealous because… Because what? I asked quietly. Because I built something and you stole it? Because I trusted you and you betrayed me? Julian stood up. The evidence is clear. Ms. Murray has been engaging in corporate fraud, theft of intellectual property, and conspiracy to sell protected technologies to competitors. You can't prove any of this, Leila shouted, her careful mask finally cracking. I clicked to the final slide. Actually, we can. This is a recording from your meeting with Tech Giant's acquisition team yesterday. The one you didn't know was being archived by the AI. Leila's voice filled the room. Once the patents are transferred, you'll have complete control of the technology. Trinity won't be able to stop it. The offshore accounts are ready. Mom started crying. Leila rushed to her, but Mom pulled away. How could you? Mom whispered. Your own sister. I did it for us, Leila snapped. To make us rich, to get us out of that life you always complained about. Trinity doesn't understand business. She understood enough to catch you, Cade interrupted. The SEC has been notified. They're probably in the lobby right now. As if on cue, 2 federal agents entered the room. Leila's eyes went wild. She turned to me, desperation replacing her usual confidence. Trinity, please, we can fix this. We're sisters. I stood up, finally facing her directly. We stopped being sisters the day you decided to destroy everything I built. The agents moved forward. One began reading Leila her rights, while the other handcuffed her. As they led her out, she looked back one last time. Mom, tell her to stop this! But Mom just shook her head, tears streaming down her face. After Leila was gone, the room erupted in chaos. Board members talked urgently among themselves. Julian started making calls to calm investors. Mom approached me slowly. I'm so sorry, baby. I should have listened to you. It's okay, Mom. She fooled a lot of people. Cade cleared his throat. Trinity, the board would like to speak with you about the company's future. I hugged Mom quickly, then turned to face the board. The next few hours would be crucial, stabilizing the company, reassuring clients, protecting our technology. But for the first time in months, I felt ready. Tabitha squeezed my hand. You did it. We did it, I corrected her, looking at my unlikely team. Tabitha, Julian, Cade, even Mom. And we're just getting started. As I walked to the head of the table, I caught my reflection in the window. I didn't see the quiet coder anymore, or the betrayed sister. I saw someone stronger, someone who had learned that sometimes justice comes through lines of code rather than confrontation. The board chairman spoke. Trinity, we'd like to discuss your return as CEO. I sat down, ready to rebuild what Leila had tried to destroy. Let's talk about the future. The news of Leila's arrest exploded across tech media. As I walked into the office the next morning, every screen seemed to be playing the same footage. My sister being led out in handcuffs, her perfect image finally shattered. Trinity! Tabitha rushed up to my new old office, the one Leila had taken from me. You need to see this. She handed me her tablet. An email from our biggest client, the Morgan contract that Leila had nearly destroyed. In light of recent events, we'd like to reaffirm our commitment to working with the original leadership. They're staying, I breathed. Even after everything? They're not just staying. Julian appeared in the doorway. 3 more major clients called this morning. They want to expand their contracts. Turns out your reputation in the tech community means something. My phone buzzed, a text from Mom. At the courthouse, Leila's bail hearing. Do you want to come? I showed the message to Tabitha. Are you going? She asked softly. Before I could answer, Cade walked in. Sorry to interrupt, but we have a situation. The press is downstairs, demanding a statement. I can handle them, Julian offered. No, I said, standing up. It's time I faced this head on. In the elevator down, Cade briefed me. Keep it professional. Focus on the company's future, not the personal betrayal. And remember, you're not just fighting for your company now. You're fighting for every woman in tech who's been underestimated. The lobby was packed with reporters. Camera flashes burst as I approached the podium. Ms. Murray, how does it feel to take down your own sister? Was this revenge? Did you develop the AI specifically to trap Leila? I held up my hand, waiting for quiet. This isn't about revenge. It's about justice, about protecting what we built here. The technology, the jobs, the trust of our clients. Yes, Leila is my sister, but this company is my family too, and I had to protect it. More questions flew, but a commotion at the back of the room drew everyone's attention. Mom pushed through the crowd, her eyes red from crying. Trinity, she called out. The hearing. Leila wants to see you. The reporters went wild, but I stepped away from the podium, following Mom to a quiet corner. What did she say? She's scared. The judge denied bail. Something about flight risk because of the offshore accounts. She keeps saying she can explain everything. I leaned against the wall. Did she explain why she did it? Why she betrayed me? She said. Mom wiped her eyes. She said she was tired of being in your shadow, that you were always the smart one, the talented one. She wanted to prove she could be more. By destroying what I built? By controlling it. Oh, baby, I'm so sorry. I should have seen what she was doing to you. Cade appeared beside us. Trinity, the board's waiting upstairs. We need to discuss the company's direction. I hugged Mom quickly. Tell Leila, tell her I hope it was worth it. Back in the boardroom, Julian had prepared a presentation on stabilizing the company. But as he talked about damage control and PR strategies, my mind kept drifting to Leila, sitting in a cell, finally facing the consequences of her actions. Trinity? Tabitha touched my arm. They're asking about the AI system. I focused back on the room. The board members were looking at me expectantly. The pattern recognition system that caught Leila? I stood up. That was just the beginning. With proper development, it could revolutionize corporate security, financial monitoring, fraud detection. Which is why, Cade interrupted, I'd like to propose a partnership. My firm has the resources to help develop this technology properly. The board erupted in excited discussion. As they talked, my phone buzzed again. Another text from Mom. Leila's lawyer says she might make a deal. Turn evidence about corporate corruption she witnessed. What should I tell her? I showed the message to Tabitha. Even now, she's trying to manipulate the situation, Tabitha said quietly. Let her, I replied, turning back to the board discussion. The truth will come out either way. As the meeting wrapped up, Julian pulled me aside. You okay? It's been an intense few days. I looked around my office. My real office, the one I'd built this company from. You know what? I am okay. For the first time in months, everything's exactly where it should be. Except Leila. No, I said firmly. She's exactly where she should be too. Sometimes karma needs a little help from an AI system. The sun was setting over the city as I finally sat down at my desk. On my screen, the AI continued its work, finding patterns, protecting what we'd built. Leila had tried to steal my company, but she'd given me something instead. The strength to fight back, the wisdom to do it smart, and the knowledge that sometimes the quietest person in the room is the one you should fear most. The courthouse was packed for Leila's sentencing. 3 months had passed since her arrest, and the tech world was watching. I sat in the back row, Tabitha on one side, Mom on the other. The defendant will rise, the judge announced. Leila stood, wearing a plain gray suit instead of her usual designer clothes. She looked smaller somehow, her confidence stripped away by prison walls and legal proceedings. Before I deliver the sentence, the judge continued, would you like to make a statement? Leila turned, her eyes finding mine in the crowd. I want to apologize. To my sister Trinity. I thought I was proving something, but I was just destroying everything she built. Everything we could have built together. Mom squeezed my hand as Leila continued. I let ambition blind me. I forgot what it meant to be a sister. And now, her voice cracked. Now I've lost everything that actually mattered. The judge nodded gravely. While your remorse is noted, the severity of your crimes cannot be ignored. Corporate fraud, theft of intellectual property, conspiracy to sell protected technologies. I barely heard the sentence. 5 years, plus restitution. All I could see was Lila's face as reality hit her. 5 years. Our childhood together had lasted longer than she'd be in prison. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. Trinity, will you rebuild the company? Aunt, any comment on your sister's sentence? Kate appeared, creating a path through the crowd. Ms. Murray has already rebuilt the company. In fact, she has an announcement to make this afternoon. In the car, Mom was quiet. Finally, she spoke. 5 years, my baby girl. She did this to herself, Mom, I said gently. She had choices. I know, where did I go wrong with her? Tabitha, who was driving, caught my eye in the rearview mirror. You didn't go wrong. Some people just want more than they're willing to earn. Back at the office, Julian was waiting with the final contracts. Everything's ready for the announcement. The partnership with Cade's firm, the new security division, the AI licensing deals. I looked around the conference room, remembering how it all started, pressing my ear against the door, hearing Leila plot against me. Now I was about to announce something that would change the industry. The press is ready, Tabitha said, poking her head in. I straightened my jacket and walked to the podium. Camera flashes erupted as I began speaking. Today, we're announcing the launch of Guardian AI, a revolutionary system for detecting corporate fraud and protecting intellectual property. The same technology that exposed corruption in our own company will now help protect others. Questions flew from reporters. Was this inspired by your sister's crimes? How does it feel to turn a personal tragedy into a business triumph? I held up my hand. This isn't about my sister. It's about creating something positive from a negative situation, about building rather than destroying. Cade stepped forward. Our partnership will make this technology available to companies worldwide. Trinity's vision goes far beyond personal vindication. After the press conference, I found Mom sitting in my office, holding a framed photo, Leila and me as kids, grinning in our tiny Bronx apartment. She asked to see you, Mom said quietly. In prison. I sat down heavily. I don't know if I can. You don't have to decide now, but she's still your sister. Is she? Because the sister in that photo would never have tried to destroy me. A knock at the door. Tabitha with more good news. The Morgan contract just doubled. They want to be the first to implement Guardian AI. Mom stood up, kissing my cheek. I'm going to visit Leila. Want me to tell her anything? I thought about Leila in her cell, about the choices that led her there. Tell her I hope she uses these 5 years to remember who she was in that photo. After Mom left, I walked to the window. The city stretched out below, full of companies that could benefit from what we'd built. Not just the AI, but the lesson behind it. You okay? Tabitha asked softly. You know what's strange? Part of me misses her. Not who she became, but who she was. My big sister who used to protect me from playground bullies. Maybe that person's still in there somewhere. Maybe. I turned back to my desk, where the contracts waited. But right now, we have work to do. Julian appeared with champagne. Time to celebrate? Time to build, I corrected him, but I was smiling. Guardian AI is just the beginning. As we toasted our new venture, I thought about karma, about justice, about the strange paths that lead us to where we're meant to be. Leila had tried to steal my dream, but instead, she'd forced me to make it bigger. The AI hummed in the background, already protecting other companies from people like my sister. Sometimes the best revenge isn't destruction, it's creation. Building something so strong that even betrayal can't break it. The prison visiting room was colder than I expected. I sat at the metal table, watching the door, my heart pounding. I hadn't seen Leila since her sentencing 6 weeks ago. She appeared in her orange jumpsuit, thinner, her perfect hair now plain and pulled back. Our eyes met, and for a moment, we were just sisters again. You came, she said softly, sitting down. Mom said you've been asking for me. I saw you on TV. Guardian AI is everywhere now. You did it, Trin. You really did it. I studied her face, looking for signs of manipulation. But all I saw was exhaustion and something else. Pride? The company you tried to destroy is now worth 10 times what it was, I said. Ironic, isn't it? She flinched. I deserve that. I deserve all of this. She gestured at her surroundings. But that's not why I asked you here. She pulled out a worn envelope. I've been writing this letter for weeks. Everything I did, every mistake, every betrayal. But mostly why? I know why, I said. You were jealous, ambitious, greedy. No? She pushed the letter toward me. I was scared of being nothing, of being the failure sister who couldn't make it out of the Bronx on her own. You were always the smart one, the talented one. I thought if I could just take control, just prove I could run things better. You could have worked with me, Leila. We could have built it together. Tears filled her eyes. I know that now. God, I know that now. A guard approached. Time's up. Leila stood quickly. There's something else in the letter, ideas I've had, watching the news about Guardian AI, ways it could be expanded, vulnerabilities I noticed from the other side. Maybe they're useful, maybe they're not. But it's all I have to offer now. I picked up the letter. Why are you doing this? Because you're my sister, and even if I can never fix what I broke, I can try to protect what you're building now. The guard led her away. I sat there, holding her letter, until Tabitha found me in the parking lot. How was it? I handed her the letter. She's given us insider knowledge of how people might try to beat the AI. Can we trust it? That's the thing. I started the car. I think we can. Back at the office, Julian and Cade were waiting with big news. The Senate committee wants you to testify about corporate fraud prevention, Julian announced. Guardian AI is becoming the gold standard. Ha, perfect timing, I said, pulling out Lila's letter, because we're about to make it even better. We worked late into the night, incorporating Lila's insights into the system. Her suggestions were brilliant. She'd always been smart, just pointed in the wrong direction. Around midnight, Mom brought us coffee. You look happy, she said, watching me code. I am. Not because of the success, but because... I paused. Because today, I saw my sister again. The real one, not the person who betrayed me. People can change, Tabitha said, squeezing my shoulder. They can, I agreed. But more importantly, we can change how we respond to them. The next morning, I had the team gather in the conference room. Guardian AI was born from betrayal, I told them. But its future will be about prevention, not punishment, about helping people make better choices. Speaking of choices, Cade said, the Tech Industry Leadership Awards announced their shortlist. You're nominated for Innovator of the Year. I shook my head. No, we're nominated. All of us. Even Leila, in her way. Sometimes our worst moments lead us to our best innovations. That evening, I wrote my own letter to Leila. Not about business or technology, but about sisters and second chances. About how sometimes losing everything helps you find what matters. I ended it with an offer, a job waiting for her after release, using her insights to help other companies protect themselves. Not in leadership, not yet, but a chance to rebuild trust. As I sealed the envelope, Tabitha brought in a new client contract. They're calling Guardian AI the future of corporate ethics. They're wrong, I said, smiling. It's not about the AI. It's about people choosing to do better. The technology just helps them make that choice. I looked around my office, at the team that stood by me, at the company that survived betrayal, at the future we were building. Leila had tried to take everything from me, but instead, she'd helped me create something bigger than either of us. My phone buzzed. A message from the prison. Leila had already started working on more security insights. Not for redemption, she said, but because it was the right thing to do. Sometimes the happy ending isn't about forgetting the past. It's about building a better future. One line of code, one choice, one second chance at a time. I picked up my coffee mug, the one with lines of code that Leila had once tried to claim, and got back to work. There were still companies to protect, systems to build, and bridges to repair. But this time, I wasn't doing it alone.